Defining Duke and Xbox podcast is brought to you by Indeed. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke and Xbox podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code DEFININGDUKE to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code DEFININGDUKE. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, KS, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in ONT. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 141 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by, as always, the man who, if he made a game engine, he wouldn't charge you for it. Lord Cognito. How are we today, sir?
I'm all about the unity, man. I'm all about bringing people together. You know, in a figurative sense, because in a literal sense, I don't know what the hell is going on with unity, but we're going to talk about
We will discuss.
We will discuss. It has become a hot topic, but hang in there, man. We talk, a little pre-show. And look, I'm improving, y'all, for those that's asking, you know what's funny? The realm of the Dukes, the realm of the Lords got a little jealous of the realm of the Dukes.
Uh-oh.
Because I forgot that the realm of the Dukes had all the info and the medical stuff ahead. So when I finally made my, return to IOP, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I ever told, because my brothers, they protected me. They was like, don't tell anybody, don't put any pictures up, because don't scare anybody. You know how everyone loves you, stop. And I'm like, all right.
I'll always remember the selfie you took in your car where I was like, what happened, bro? I was like, wait, I texted you right away. I was like, yo, wait, what's going on?
That's when King and them, they were telling me, like, don't do that. So I finally got a chance to talk to him. But look, I'm feeling better. I'm definitely improving. I'm not 100% though. Still a little residual, still a little ongoing fever that don't go away all the time. So my new thing is I ain't playing. I'm super annoying. I go back to the doctor like, look, what's up with this, and this? This is still going on. So they recommended some stuff. I got retested. Everything came back good. But they definitely mentioned, some very specific vitamins, C, D3, and zinc. So they wanted that. They actually...
I used to do zinc, but that shit tasted like...
Oh, it's disgusting. New trick, gummies, y'all. Gummies, y'all. And then I got some airborne and stuff like that for the immune stuff. But
low-key a good candy.
Yeah.
Not trying to overpromote, but low-key really good.
Bro, low-key, they so good. You want to eat more of it.
I know. When I have my vitamin C gummies, I'm like
damn, I can only take 2. Facts. So I got the vitamin C gummies too, and all that. So the only thing they did say is I'm actually still dehydrated, which surprised, bro. I'm doing Maddie style, the leader joint. And they were like, nah, bro, they like 2 liters a day.
Holy shit.
Damn. They were like, yeah. They was like, bro, you was in a hospital. All that IV, all the fluids, your body is now taking time getting acclimated. And it makes sense. So, I'm still on it. I'm pacing myself, feeling good in the gym.
Mm.
Duke Beefy's coming back slowly. I'm
Good,
getting
good.
my strength is coming back. So I was like, it's
Yes.
slow, but I'm getting there. I could tell I could go harder, but I'm pacing myself. Like, nope, this week.
That's the toughest part, bro. When you're feeling good in the gym, that takes self-control
Because you
right
want it
there.
all back. You want it all back.
I know.
So I was like,
I
you know what?
know.
No, I said, Cog, 80% of your weight. Don't go all the way, 75, 80%. Just build it up back.
Completing the workout is a big step here.
Yeah. But other than that, everything. But how you been, man? You got a lot of stuff going on. So how we doing with the shades
Yeah,
and our little bro?
we were chatting a little bit. The shade's still gotta be rocked. As I talked about in my video, I'm not really on roller skates anymore, as I would define it. Where like when I was looking at the screen, it's like just rocking all over the place. It's not fully gone yet though, which is frustrating, but it's better. It's improved, but it's not. I'm at the point now where it's at a stage where it's like I just want to kill it off now. Like, okay, like what can we do to get me stable? Because like one example, I was telling Cog this story and I held it back because I low key caught I caught a stray talking to the fucking solar dude. So I hear a knock on my door. I step outside, and this has just been a big fucking push in the Northeast because these dudes are trying to sell you solar panels everywhere, and so it's like the fourth time someone's showing up trying to sell me solar panels, and I'm trying to be nice, right? Because I'm not trying to be like they don't know, right? They don't know that like I've shoot off 3 other companies at this point. So this guy's talking to me, and he's like, so he says, yeah, like, you seem pretty young. Like, I don't know, do you pay the electric bill here as like your mom and dad do? I was like, no, I own the house. He's like, oh. He's like, oh. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh,
yeah.
what are you trying to say? You think I own this place? But while I was talking to him to answer your question, it was like a lack of stability is how I define it now. Like I was standing on the edge of my steps, and it's like you're not wobbling really, but you feel like you are. And we'll talk a bit about Forza Motorsport later. When we were at the preview event, it's not anyone's fault. It's just how my body is. Like they had these chairs, and I define them as the floating seat chairs where you have the kind of leather back and seat all connected in one. You have these rounding metal rings on the left and right side. Bro, while Grindelwald was giving his presentation, I was trying to keep it together. I was like, bro, I feel like I'm gonna fall out of this fucking chair. So it's not fully gone yet. It's tough, but I'm looking into, I think it's called physiotherapy to try to course correct, because I think what's happening is I've changed my diet. I'm on the right supplements. I've seen improvements, but I'm looking for the kill shot now. I'm looking for the silver bullet. It's going to kind of take it out and give me long-term stability, because my big goal this year is I want to travel. I don't care. I feel bad because I'm probably going to miss Colin's wedding and Micah's wedding and Jimmy Champagne's wedding. And I really, it really breaks me up because I'm just like, I want to be there for these like once in a lifetime moments. And I've missed out on a lot. If I can't get there by car, I can't go or train. So it's frustrating. And that's like my big determination. If I don't accomplish it this year, I'm trying to be patient. It's not like it's the end of the world, but like that's my goal, trying to keep me rolling here. But I'm doing better, all things considered. And we're gonna look into that therapy, physical therapy, and see what we can get done there, and if that can help me out at all.
Quick question: when you took like a train to an event, you feel it like on the train ride?
Yeah, when I was on the train going to the event, I felt it at first. I did. Eventually, my body regulated, and it was not a big deal. But I told you while we were like eating out afterwards, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling it right now.
I
I
remember.
And so I don't know if that was from the train or that's the thing, man. It's like, did I eat the wrong food? Did I not have enough water? Because I was going off of 3 bottles instead of my usual jug, which has a gallon. I don't know, man. That's the thing. It's really tough to figure out. That's like the biggest frustrating part is you don't have like a direct symptom other than swaying, and anything can cause it. Lack of sleep can cause it, and so I still haven't gotten my sleep scheduled to like where I'm going to bed before midnight. That's going to be like the ultimate test if I can do that, because there are certain days I feel like money, man. That's usually when I'm getting really good sleep.
You got to go back to the docs. You got to complain. You got to nitpick. You're not 100% right. And therapy is a potential. Like I was telling you offline, my mom had vertigo and she had to eventually go to therapy. And they were talking about the things in her ears or whatever that regulates that balance. There could be a building up that you may have to, engage with therapy. So look into it if you can.
Absolutely. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on with us. We appreciate all of you who write in constantly saying you love the health updates. We appreciate it. It makes it worthwhile for us because we can pass them on to you, and you can kind of look in the mirror, make sure you're doing all right. But let's start off, Cog, with 2 mobile reviews. We haven't bugged the audience in a while. Now that we're having our best numbers, I'm back. They don't annoy you all. So remember, if you go to Defying Duke and Xbox Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, leave us a review. We'll read it on the air. This is your way to get a free write-in, I call it. You don't have to be a part of the Patreon. It's a way to just get some love out there. And of course, it does help out the show. We encourage that because it does help us out. We're seeing some of our best numbers yet. We are pushing 80K on our Starfield review discussion, which is I think the biggest episode Last Stand has put out in a long while. Very proud of that. Very proud that we rose to the occasion.
That's dope.
All right, we got 2 reviews here. Rod of God is up first. Huge shout out to the Duke boys for their continued quality content. These guys genuinely care about each other, as you saw at the start of the show, gaming, the community of listeners, and honest feedback on the news. Always look forward to hearing their exploits or of their exploits in the digital realm each week. I like how he put that.
I like that. That was dope.
It's a good closer. Thank you, Rod of God. We appreciate you too. Yeah. Fear the Old Blood is our next write-in here. I'm a PC guy and haven't cared about Xbox in a long time. See, normally we get the I'm a PS5 guy. I don't care. But now we're getting the PC audience here. The Master Race has joined us. This podcast is still so much fun to listen to. Funny and informative. The 2 Dukes have great chemistry. There's been some talk about adding a 3rd guy. Make that guy Gene Park. I will become a Patreon member, I swear it. He likes Xbox, but isn't an Xbox fanboy, so he could bring some balance to the force. Jokes aside, his chemistry was great with you 2 in the most recent episode. Thank you. We have been hearing that one a decent amount, and it's something we'll talk about. We'll see. Because to me, it's like if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think we have something good here, and so we had something great with Gene too.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it? The magic of the Starfield episode.
Yeah, can't deny it.
It's tough to balance out. We'll see. We'll see. I know Gene listens to the episode, so he's sitting there. He's probably doing a little bit of pauser right now. What?
Listen, you know we love you, G. We know you.
We'll think about it. We'll see where we go with it. Papa Smurf 531 is our first Patreon write-in. Howdy, Ukes. With Danganronpa 3 leaving Game Pass this week, I have to ask Maddie a question. What the fuck is a Danganronpa? My fiance and I have loved playing through the trilogy over the last year on Game Pass per Maddie's suggestion. We just reached Chapter 6 of the 3rd game, and neither of us have a clue of who or what a Danganronpa is. Have an Atlas announce his Persona 6 as a PlayStation 5 exclusive kind of day.
Oh, that's a shot. Shot to my bet.
What Danganronpa means. Number one, I don't know. You could argue it is thematic, so to say, but it's not like you hear. I maybe should have explained this to people hopping in. It's not like you play to learn what the Danganronpa is. Like that's not the goal at all. Apparently, when I looked into it, because when I read this right, I was like, shit, I don't know. So I
know what it is. Awesome.
Yeah, so I Googled it.
Let's go.
Apparently, it means bullet rebuttal, which would make sense because you do the truth bullets. So that's playing into the gameplay mechanics of the entire series. Or bullet refutation is another one. But yeah, it's refuting with a bullet, which is, again, how you solve the mysteries. You use truth bullets, you cut through the truth. So there you go, Papa Smurf. You spent all this time with a series that we both love, and I've talked about it since 2014, and I had no idea what a Danganronpa was either. So welcome to the club.
I love that you didn't know. That makes it great.
It's funny. I saw it like, I have no idea. So let's look into it. Yeah. First result on Google search. That's what I got for you, man.
No doubt.
All right. We got a long write-in here, Cog, but
let's get it.
I feel like it was a good one to address, not only because it's a first-time write-in. I like to try to pick as many first-time write-ins as I can, but also I read the comments of last week's episode, and we have to have a conversation with the audience, I think. So Michael Aletti writes in. Sorry if I said your last name wrong. Hey, Dukes, first time writing in. Following on your Starfield review discussion last week, there were 2 points you've made that were a bit off, to say the least. Would love to get some clarification. Number 1, talking about GameSpot's Starfield review, he says you guys, but I think this was me, said 55 hours of playtime isn't enough to fully understand it. But it's not like the reviewer didn't finish the game. You said so yourself, that they probably finished the main story and did a few side quests. That's what they said in the review, by the way. So that is true. They said they finished the main story. According to HowLongToBeat.com, the average runtime of Starfield's main story is about 19 hours, 14 if you really rush through the game. So here's my question. If you spend 20 hours on the main campaign and an additional 35 hours on side content, That's still not enough to understand it. Isn't this a problem with how the game's designed? I would understand your point better if the reviewer never got to the end of the game, but 55 hours of playtime seems more than enough to review a game that you can complete in 15 to 20 hours. It might be true that in hour 70 something clicks, but that's to the detriment of the game. That tells you something about its bad pacing or poor progression systems. It's like those people saying, dude, you got to watch the show. First 4 seasons aren't that good, but wait till you get till season 5. We'll answer this alongside this next one here. Like I said, it was a big write-in. Number 2, if the review process isn't an issue because of the harsh deadline and embargo date, why isn't this an issue with reviewers who scored the game a 10 out of 10 on the day it released? Why is it an issue only for those who scored the game lower than expected? I could easily make the argument that rushing through a game to hit a deadline might make you think highly of it because you didn't spend a lot of time with it, and you didn't let the game sink in after the hype. Xbox Addict gave the game a perfect score after spending only 50 hours with it. So is their review less legitimate as well? Thanks, and have a why did we ever let patrons ask us questions kind of day.
These are good.
No worries. I try to pick the tighter write-ins, I'll be honest, but when I see one like this that I think is asking the right questions and putting them in a fair manner and being objective,
yes,
I'm always happy to answer the bell, and I know Cog is too. So Cog, let's do this. Let's open up the conversation, rerouting back to our previous one where you could tell by the write-ins like who listened with intent. And I don't know if someone shared our episode, or I don't want to make bad assumptions, but I could tell there were some disingenuous listeners, to say the least. Not that because they disagree with us. We always encourage the disagreement among the Dukes, but you could just tell when people were trying to get a clap back in and when people were actually listening and had questions like Michael had here.
Absolutely.
So I'll start us off here because I know the opening at number 1 is more so directed at me, although I appreciate you sparing us both by not directly calling out one or the other. So what I'll say is this, and why I view Starfield the way I do is 55 hours not being enough time is, for starters, how long to beat is a pretty terrible gauge for this game. I use how long to beat as a feeler for like, okay, if it's around 40 hours, like what can I expect time sync wise? But for Starfield, like I didn't finish the main story till I think the 40th hour. And that's not because I was mainlining the story hardcore. That's because in these types of games from Bethesda Game Studios, you wander, you will inevitably get distracted, even if you try to be disciplined. And so, again, I wouldn't say the way you're putting it is as rigid as how you think in your head, how people experience it versus how it's actually played. Like you don't just do like, let me do 10 hours, 20 hours of the main story and then all side content after. Some people will play it that way, but, and I don't know how the GameSpot reviewer actually did play it, but for starters, how you get to the conclusion of that main story, it's not as rigid as you've proposed it. The reason I say 55 hours isn't enough time to fully understand it is because in a sense, you could argue it is a part of the game's design that's a flaw, but I'm not going to try to get into spoilery territory. The way I view it, and I have a very different view than most people, it seems, is Starfield's New Game Plus is a game changer.
Yes.
It changes how you interact with the story. It changes how you interact with quest lines, your character build, and so on and so forth. Bethesda was not lying when they said the game begins after you beat it, because it's true. It's 100% true. It's not a hyperbolic, I almost said it wrong, line from them to try to market the game to you. It's, in my eyes, completely true. I think when you couple that with the best content in the game being the faction quest lines, your Freestar Collective, your Ryujin Corporation, your Crimson Fleet, Double Agent storyline, the main story, this is probably 100 plus hours. So to me, I think when you don't see all of that through, which is the strongest component of the game in my eyes, and I think you could say objectively so, given what's been sacrificed exploration-wise to achieve the choices in the story, I think that is why I think you need to give the game more time, because you don't get even into the meat of outpost building and ship crafting until maybe hour 50, which is a big part of the game. The spaceship combat's arguably the best part of the game, but I've very rarely seen reviews address it because I think many of them didn't get into the meat of it. It's a dense game. And what I'll say in my defense is I don't say this to protect Starfield because I think that this is the only game I've said this for.
Yeah.
I would be in agreement with Michael and most people chiming in any other situation. I think I've said the same shit people have said before.
Agreed.
I get why people want to push back. I completely understand it because I've been in your shoes. But I'm trying to explain to people, not out of fanboyism, not out of abject defiance here. I'm trying just to say Starfield is a very different game from anything we have played.
Absolutely.
It is paced differently. And yes, those opening hours do suck. But when you get to the New Game Plus and you go again, it comes into frame more. And you realize that it's almost this steady, in my eyes, a steady incline. And while they could have done the intro better and they could have done the tutorials better, you see that you see the vision come together.
Yes.
It was almost deliberate, I would say. That doesn't make it good, right? There are design decisions that are made with intent that turn out bad. I think they could have done a lot more to make the intro better, but I do think I wouldn't say, at least for me, something didn't click in hour 70, but I'm saying at 70 hours, I wasn't going to put my final say on it because I had a shit ton to see. I have almost 100 hours in the game. I still have barely crafted a settlement. I mean, again, this is why I'm saying the game is, it's flawed.
Yeah.
And I get how people could come to a 7.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the 10s in a moment, but it is a gigantic game. And I think when you rush it, you beat the main story, you see some of the side content. To me, the reason we kind of talked about the 7s more is, and again, we'll get to the 10s, is because that suggests like you were not interested in seeing what else was there to maybe open up the game further. Right. That's just my read of it. Doesn't mean that they could have ended up disliking it more, which I think is really important to hammer home. No one's delivered a review of Starfield that has seen like the game through multiple times, all the quest lines multiple times. We haven't really gotten that angle yet. So I just think more hours, more power, especially for a game like this. But again, I totally understand and respect why people would disagree with my take on this because it does sound crazy, but I don't say it for every game. I said it for this one and just this one. But Cog, anything you'd like to chime in on with this?
No, well said. I think that this is a very unique situation. And again, we're going to be very clear. This is not because, we love the game and we can't see no possible way how someone could not like it, or it's not any of that. But we have to be fair to the style of this game versus the traditional classic action adventure, RPG, or open world game. This is a style of game that historically, when you play any Bethesda game, let's be real, the faction stuff is generally the better content, right? And that's how historically, I can't remember telling you what the main antagonist was in Oblivion and, what was the main story and was I deeply, I remember being good. I remember being okay, but nothing memorable. I remember what I was doing in the Dark Brotherhood. I remember what I was doing with the Thieves Guild, the Fighters Guild. I remember all of that. Those were intense. So that's Bethesda here. These history, their faction quests, side quests, emergent events really make you feel lived in, inhabited world. Now, the difference for Starfield, where I will, as the kids say, cap and go super hard for, is that for the first time, Bethesda's main quest line, in my opinion, is the greatest main quest line they have ever done. Now, if you do just the main quest line, which in my opinion transitions into the best new game plus in any game, period. If you just do that and you come to a conclusion, right? In my opinion, you have not even seen a fraction of what the game offers. So you can make that determination, say, hey, I'm reviewing it and that's it based on this. But you really haven't seen it. You haven't seen Ryan. You haven't seen so much. And I think that's the beauty of Starfield, right? So ultimately, again, subjective. If you didn't have fun during that period, and again, we're not saying the game's perfect. We're not saying the game, I have serious onboarding issues with certain things and certain things that the game just assumes you're supposed to know. And of course, design decisions with way they handle space travel is not going to rub everybody the right way. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm okay. But I understand if someone says, nah, that's not it. But ultimately, I think that's what the issue is. That's why these games are so different from the traditional, hey, 15, 20 hours, you beat the main campaign. This is not that. It's like you said, dense. There's so much depth to the story, emergent events, and other things in this game that if you miss out, it could really change your experience. So I know we're going to get to the 10s now.
Yeah, would you like to kick that one off?
Yeah, I mean, look, so basically, according to Mike, great question. He was basically saying that, why was it an issue when the people who scored the game 10 out of 10 as opposed to people who scored lower than expected. I'm going to stand on the record. I personally don't care about what another outlet reviewer or man thinks about something. I'm just going to be brutally honest. To me, this is all a gauge. This is just all a gauge. This is an outlier of how some people in the community receive stuff, right? Now, as far as the 10 out of 10s, of course, we're not going to sit here and say that there's not some bias from Xbox-centric, site, Xbox.com, WeCatForXbox.com, or whatever it is. Come on, we know what's going on here. What this whole thing highlighted is that the system is flawed. I think we can all agree if WeCatForXbox.com has its say, and we can't stand Xbox.com, what I'm saying, has their say, and they're going to pile on, and these are part of the aggregate, then we have a problem, right? We have a problem. So again, that's why I don't take none of this serious. Like we said last Defining Dude, go to the content creators and the reviewers that have a knowledge of the genre, right? Or someone that you respect that may not have the knowledge of the genre that says, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot, and they may have an objection. And that's why I love Mr. Matty Plays and Lord Cognito's impressions of Forza Motorsport. We are not Forza guys, right? But we came in there and we gave, you got to listen to that Ultimate. Ultimate's fire. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from that.
We will discuss.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? You have to factor in and go into that mindset when you look at these reviews. Again, I don't look at all these as the end all be all. And if I'm a dude that caps with Destiny and Midnight Suns. Those games did not review Metacritic, whatever. But you can't tell me those ain't games of the year, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it. But I understand. I love these questions. I think these are fair questions. I'm not trying to come at you, Mike, because I really like how you put it. But that's my response to it. But what's your response to it?
The only thing I'd really throw out there is, and I imagine based off Mike's write-in, he listened. Yeah. And it sounds like he listened with intent.
Yeah.
In fairness, I didn't go back and listen to the segment, but what I'll say is I know that the focus of the conversation is write-in based. That's usually what kickstarts these types of things. And how I, as the show writer, what I do is when I'm going through the Patreon write-ins, this is how I gauge pretty much what am I going to label the episode? How am I going to write it up? What are we basing most of our conversation around? We look at what the audience is talking about, because what you want to talk about is what we want to talk about. We want to make sure we're dialed in on what's most interesting to you. And a big question we are getting from our audience, unfortunately, the threads get deleted about a little bit after the show goes live, so I can't visualize it for you. But a lot of write-ins were, what do you think about the critical review? What do you think about the negative conversation? The reason we focused on the 7 out of 10s reviews is not because we were sitting there battling, and you can listen. I know we didn't battle. Give it a higher score, because I said multiple times, not only was that not my case, but that it's possible their score could have gone lower if they spent more time with the game. Mm-hmm. It may not have been a 7. 7 might have been generous for them, right? But it was about the critical nature surrounding Starfield. Like when you signed on Twitter, the fanboy wars are in full fucking force. It's horrible, man. Yeah, it's horrible. And it was about that. It was about people writing in, is Xbox treated fairly in the press? Which has been an ongoing question for a while that we never entertained, because I was like, come on, that's ridiculous. But when evidence continued to crop up, it's like, okay, let's talk about it. And I shared there, I said, I think that people aren't trying to sink Xbox, but I think because of the lack of output, thus resulting in a lack of traffic, I think some websites are negligent and misinformed on Xbox content. I think that's the God's honest truth. So that wasn't us trying to shift away from, as Cog said, look, you used Xbox Addict as a fucking example here. So I'm going to say, you think they're not Xbox Addict? Okay, come on. All right. Let's not ignore the obvious fucking bias there. Come on. All right. Like, I mean, and the other thing is, man, actually, there's really all there is to be said about it, right? There's no need to go beyond that, right? There's no need
we can leave it there. We can leave it there.
Yeah.
We can leave it there.
Defining Duke and Xbox podcast is brought to you by Indeed. If you're hiring for your business on your own, you're basically trying to play Starfield and do the ship combat, but only using the base frontier. You're doing it in an excessively difficult way. You need to just breathe, take it easy, and keep it simple. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, and here is why. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place instead of spending hours on on multiple job sites, searching for candidates with the right skills. Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. That's why I personally use Indeed, because with Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data from the US. Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by DraftKings. Football is back in full swing with another week of epic games. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action, except maybe Colin, Aaron Rodgers kind of happened. But all DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. I know I will. My Dirty Birds are 1-0, so I'm feeling pretty confident about the Falcons going into week 2. Get in on the NFL week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code DEFININGDUKE to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code DEFININGDUKE. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, KS, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in ONT. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. I don't want to come across over defensive, but I don't think this game's a 10 out of 10. And if you watch my review or my impressions or listen to Defining Duke, you know that. So yeah, I guess you could argue that the 7s or the recent 4 that was dropped is as wild as the 10s. But this is where COG is on the money. Just like listening to our opinions, we appreciate it and we want people to resonate with us, but living and dying off of that, we weren't living and dying off of the 7. We were having a conversation about what's wrong with Starfield.
Yeah.
Like what is wrong with it? Are these reviews? Because a lot of people are like mega disliking the reviews, but I've even said IGN's review was pretty critical. In the right ways, I feel like a lot of what they said lined up with what I said. So why is it okay that I say it, but they can't? It all comes down to the number score. And again, COG said, system's broken. So great write-in, Michael. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate the write-in, man.
And hopefully we answered everything just right here. So with that, let's get into the news, shall we? A lot of Todd Howard stuff here. Todd Howard says exclusivity allowed for better focus on Starfield and helped make a better product. Kind of assumed, you'd think, but I just wanted to collect all the Todd Howard quotes. We got a lot. Any thoughts on this one, sir?
Yeah, I mean, that comes with the territory. Less platforms, a little bit more focus. And again, I'm really impressed with the console support. As a, obviously PC, we know them. We're going to talk about it. There's some issues or certain things, but on the console, that was the biggest surprise when I first booted up the game. I was more scared how this thing was going to run, to be honest. And that was the least of my worries for my first, 20 hours playing it. It was actually getting the story to warm up at first after the first couple of getting out that, situation. I'm like, okay, I get to do Atlantis. I'm cracking. Yeah. But as far as the actual focus, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll actually talk more about Starfield's first major update coming to the game and how they plan to support Starfield for years and years, which I think is only going to make that game better. But sorry to everyone's mod orders because they're about to get screwed up if they're going to keep updating for years, bro. Anytime they updated Skyrim, people pulled their hair out. They're like, no, my mod orders. Yeah, it ruins mods every time. You got to re-download
so it
everything.
Breaks the prior relationship?
Yeah, so you got to disable auto updates and all this stuff. It breaks mods. Yeah, so this is going to be a problem long term, but I this is the double-edged sword of the exclusivity and the long-term focus that we're going to get here with Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
Leaked online was the Fallout TV show teaser trailer. And this thing looks ready to go, man. I'm guessing bombs drop day, October 23rd. I think we're going to see this bad boy. And it looks amazing. I mean, we didn't see it in full detail. It was a theater recording. Someone sliding in the
Yo, somebody was
camcorder.
foul. You know, when you see the back of the heads in the theater, you're like, damn, this person was thirsty.
I'm trying to think how they slid that in, right? Like, how were they sitting there with the phone against their chest or something? And it was, I don't know how they pulled it off.
Bro, how you pull that off? But it is, yeah.
But dude, when the Brotherhood of Steel stepped out, I mean, this looks, I thought based off the leaked set photos, okay, this looks like they got a good feel. Dude, this looks really, really good. The only thing that people seem to have an issue with is how the ghouls look.
The ghouls.
You see Walter Goggins as a ghoul, and he's kind of like Red Skull.
Yeah, got the Red Skull feel going on.
Yeah, so that might be a problem. If that's the worst of it, because we've seen, the ghouls in Fallout 4 to Fallout 3 in New Vegas look just like totally different. So we'll see what a feral ghoul looks like, because I imagine that's inevitable, and that'll kind of be a little more telling. But Cog, what did you think of the leaked teaser trailer for the Fallout TV show on Amazon?
Surprisingly impressed, man. Usually with the TV shows and the adaptation, I get nervous, right? Especially when it's in real time live action kind of vibe. I usually get nervous because usually with anime and you can kind of really get fly with it. You can kind of like calm any fears because it's more stylish. But no, I ain't gonna front from what I seen. I was like, yo, when Brotherhood of Steel is a moment, I definitely like the vibes of the nuclear, Fallout.
Seeing the bomb drop.
Yeah, it gave, I guess, coming off of like what's that joint, the Oppenheimer joint.
Yeah.
It gives me that feel, like how the world could be, right? If this situation was real. And Fallout in that respect always has an intriguing story, and I will give you that, like that, because it's rooted in a reality that could happen, right? That's what makes Fallout so cool. Like, it could happen. Let's just say it popped off and countries pressed the button, right? And then it's like, how would life be, kind of thing. So that's what makes Fallout so cool.
As history progressed, really, peaked during the Cold War, but like as history progressed, I think a lot of people became more cognizant of that reality. I think it just led to Fallout's popularity soaring, because it's like a fascinating what if, and
right? So, and how humans adapt, and if would this be right? We'd have to go underground, right? Like it's dope. It's dope. So great start. We got to see how the acting is. We got to see. But for what I saw leaked, I was like, okay, you got my attention. It looks solid.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see the full thing.
Yes.
Sea of Stars has sold 250,000 plus copies. Sabotage said these were their projections for the first year, and they accomplished this in just a week. This is a game. This is impressive. This is a game, again, not just Game Pass day one, PS Plus day one. It was given away for free on 2 of the 3 major platforms, right? Excluding PC. And, well, I guess PC Game Pass is right there.
PC Game Pass.
So it's given away, and people still bought it. 250,000 people still bought it. This says 2 things. Number one, there is a legitimate hunger. I've said this since Octopath 1. There's a legitimate hunger for pixel art games. People want this style of game back. And big companies are foolish to ignore it outside of Square Enix. People want this style of game. And also, Game Pass doesn't kill games, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I heard. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the streets were saying all this other stuff, but I mean, hey, 250. If that was their projection for the first year, and they got, bro, shout out to Sabotage.
They're probably a little tight right now though, because guess what engine was made on?
Oh no.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh
Unity.
No.
Yeah, they're like, damn, we had our first breakout here, huh?
And here come they're gonna have to. We're gonna get into that Unity time.
Yeah, we'll get into it. It's in a story or two.
Yeah,
actually.
but
any thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I love that. Like, that's one of my draft picks. Sabotage was one of. I was there at the beginning with the Messenger and a couple other joints, and I am so proud of them. And like, bro, I gotta send you. one of my best interviews with the Messenger dev. And
Mm.
oh man, what's his name? He goes by Sabatoy on Twitter. Forget his government. This guy is so passionate. He loves games. He loves game design, the team, the writing. He's got the era, the 16-bit, the pixel. So this is the natural progression. And for what, it's in the same universe, I heard, as the Messenger is what people were telling me.
Yeah.
Some kind of parallel. But I'm proud, man. This is this. And to get 2 bags. Shout out to get 2 bags, baby. I don't know how you pulled that off, but that's ill. You got that PlayStation Plus and that Game Pass.
And they had the Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure. So that's why I think they doubled down. My theory, someone funding a game, my theory is I think they were able to cover all costs with both deals, and then everything afterwards was raw profit. That is my read in the situation. That is the only reason when you're an indie dev, you make that kind of deal and remove the ability to sell, is if you can secure that you're going to be in the profitable range afterwards. And so I think that's what happened. And fair play to them. That's so fucking smart what they did. Because with indie, it's not like these big AAA companies. They don't need millions and millions of copies to sell to keep everyone employed. Like, this is going to support their next game. Just that alone.
Easy.
So congrats to them. Well-deserved success. Game is great.
So shout out to Theory and the team, man. Super proud of them.
Xbox has announced a digital broadcast happening at Tokyo Game Show 2023 on September 21st, so next week's show at 2 a.m. Pacific time. Oh boy, with Square Enix going where Square Enix is going, we'll talk about them later too. And the recently announced partnership at the Final Fantasy Fan Fest. You got to wonder what's going to be at this one, sir. I feel like this has to be a big one, right? Maybe a Kojima update. I remember you marked this one on the calendar. We said either the Keeleys or TGS, Square Enix. Because usually when TGS rolls around, Xbox gets some pretty noteworthy JRPGs on the platform late. They did Danganronpa one time. They did the Somnium Files. So is it time? Is Final Fantasy inbound?
Something's cooking, man. I got a good feeling. They're announcing it. And again, the beauty of the Phil Spencer era has been improvement in this era as well. Like, this doesn't get enough credit. So I feel each year it's gotten better and better with the additions to what Game Pass or just coming to the platform, right? So to your point, I'm with you. It's got to be, in my opinion, Square something. Now,
it feels like it just got to be.
Now, you know what I would love. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know we're not, in my opinion, this is not Atlas yet. This is not.
Yeah, they just dropped Persona. 2. Maybe a new Tactica trailer or 3 Reload trailer.
And what was the name of that's the name of the new IP that was on that,
Metaphor,
right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
that one was good.
Maybe that, but I don't expect too much Atlas outside of that Persona 3. That Tactica, bro, I played it. Bro, we go to I am Lord Turn-Based is sold. I love it.
Tactic was the one I was a little unsure
about. No. They got the joint. What I like, they had this mechanic where you take Joker, what's your homegirl, and then they had this third character, and they had this thing that if you could almost do this triangle move where you could combine and corner the enemies to go again. Bro, the gameplay, they let us rock for about 20 to 30 minutes. I was thoroughly, it's way more deeper than I thought it was. Yeah, and then they got this other thing where, like, if you
never doubt Atlas.
If you don't attack during your turn, you kind of charge up. And you can bust through an enemy defense. So there's these extra little layers to the turn-based genre that they're adding to it. And it's got a lot of cinematic flair. The personas in it are fire.
What do you think of the art style? That was like the visuals.
Bro.
Okay. That was the other. That's why I was like, this looks kind of cheap.
Music. Good Lord. I was in there like, this is it. Bro, me and Attic, we didn't want to get off. They had to throw us out. It was a time limit in our media hour. And we were like, damn, we'll play that joint again. Like, and I will say it was very interesting. There was a lot of Xbox branding. We were playing on Series X's. That's rare at the convention. You usually play on PC. Persona styled Xbox controllers. Maddie, if you see this, you're gonna be like, damn, they better put that on sale. Like, yeah, they did that. So yeah, salute to that. I played that, and I played the man who erased his name with Kiryu and all that. Got a chance to play that joint. But Persona Tactica,
What are your thoughts on that one?
I like it, but I'm always gonna be, look, your man is fire, right? The game is dope. The beat 'em up style, the new things he got with the stances, dope. And it's Kiryu. It's fine. I can't knock it.
It's superior. Yes.
We ain't doing superior. But again, the true fans know the correct transition is to turn-based. And we know that you guys love this, so we can't get rid of y'all. Y'all the core. Y'all the core. We got to keep y'all happy.
Got to hang on to us a little bit longer.
We got to, what I'm saying? Y'all the NBA Jam, and we the NBA 2K. I'm just joking. With that turn-based, that Ichiban, you know what I'm saying? But
I am open to the new Yakuza being amazing.
Yes.
Like the next mainline one. What, Infinite Wealth?
Infinite Wealth, yeah. I'm looking for it. And they're going to be together, so it is what it is. But no, that was good, but I still had more fun playing Tactica. That was just, that's how much Tactica made an impression on me.
Not much longer now. What, 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months. So expect them to see that there. And back on point to the question, which was about the Square. A long shot. Do we get a little cloud? Do we get a little cloud update, a little information? That's my long shot.
I think Pixel Remaster.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
The big one, and we said this when the first partnership was announced, the big one would be the new one is coming out on Xbox.
What, 16?
Yeah. No, not 16. Sorry.
Remake,
part 2,
integrate and all that. Yeah.
Rebirth.
Whatever. Rebirth. I forget the names.
I hate that I've become this guy. Yeah. Rebirth, I think it is. Yeah. So if Rebirth makes its way to Xbox, like as an announcement, like it's planned to come to I don't know if it would make it on launch day. It's a pretty tall ask, but I feel like Xbox would fund that. I really believe they would fund if Square went, we don't have the money, and Xbox said, what if we paid the bill?
And then we're going to talk. I don't know if we have the Square numbers. Do you see the stuff that went? Oh, we had that one. Oh, great.
We do have that. So this will be all pertinent later.
Whatever. And then I think, but the realistic conservative, I gotta pump the brakes, will probably be what you said: Pixel Remaster or Octopath 2. Those are the safer choices to see at TGS. But I'm excited for this TGS, man. I'm excited.
Let me move up this story. Let's get right to it. Sense, right? Yes. Flow. Square Enix has lost nearly $2 billion in value since the release of Final Fantasy XVI, with shares in the company plummeting nearly 30%. IGN sources familiar with the Final Fantasy XVI sales performance say that after the first week where it reached 3 million, that things have slowed down considerably, but the game isn't considered a complete disaster yet. By the way, IGN's words, not mine, because I've seen a little bit of console warring between 16 and Starfield. I want to make it clear, I'm not the one calling it a complete disaster. So they're using the words of their source.
Correct.
Earlier in September, Square had announced 2 paid expansions for Final Fantasy XVI alongside a PC port, likely to help the game generate sales in the long term. IGN also reports that there's a rebuild of development practices currently being worked through, with one source close to Square Enix saying that CEO Takashi Kiryu has called for a change across the company globally, but that will take some time. Meanwhile, analysts at Bloomberg claim that Final Fantasy XVI's success could not make up for failures like Forspoken or mobile games shut down soon after launch. So with that in tow, with us talking about the Xbox digital broadcast, I think this puts in the frame pretty well why there was a deal struck between Xbox and Square so suddenly. I think it was a deal born out of necessity for Square Enix. I think if they're trying to make a change globally, I think this is step one, right? Get on all the platforms. They also said that they're going to focus less on smaller titles and more on big budget games. I don't think that's the right way to go. I think you go into your Octopaths. I think you go into your Paranorma sites. I think you go into that direction. I don't know. I don't run a company like that per se, but I just feel like when you bet so big, I mean, you just got to play 5 minutes of Final Fantasy XVI to see on a visual level, cutscenes especially, how much they poured money monetarily into that game, right? Like they bet big on it. They were expecting a massive home run. 3 billion sales is nothing to scoff at. But they needed more because of the problem that's hitting Square a lot. It's since 2020 is you have these wins and then you get an Avengers. You have these wins, like 16 probably on its own is a win, but then you get Forspoken, which was so crateringly bad. right? And you get a 7 remake, but then Evercry or whatever next mobile game they're doing had its support shut down, the Battle Royale Final Fantasy VII mobile game. So it's always back and forth for them. And so I think that's where they need stability. I think that's where Xbox comes into play. And that's why I think if Xbox can fund a particular initiative of any kind, I think they're willing to do it because, you talked about right now, the branding surrounding Atlas games is turning very Xbox, is turning very green, which is what we've said for a while was going to happen. As if you can't get Final Fantasy, go get Atlas because they're the next ones in line, I think. But now you got both of them potentially. And if Xbox can swing this in their the momentum in that direction to get at least 7 remake a little bit sped up and not kind of put on the backlog because, with a company bleeding cash like Square, they're going to have to make up the money somewhere. So losing $2 billion in value, that's quite the drop. But Cog, your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I'm glad you said what you said earlier about the fanboy stuff because, again, I noticed there was a lot of defensive energy, towards this game. And let's be clear, like, I like the game. I think I still got to get back to it and finish it. Just that Starfield happened. And you know how that goes.
Not so much.
But, yeah. So the whole thing is like, like you said, like, bro, like when you play that game, you could see the production value. You can't take that away from it. Like you can see it. And to hear them, lose $2 billion in value, shares of the company plummeting nearly 30%. And, them now taking kind of like this measured approach, like, hey, we don't want to go super big yet. This is tough because you got that. You have Marvel Avengers, you got Forspoken. We've had a bit of a pattern, right? Of things where they really went for it and it didn't come back in the revenue that they expected to see. So, yeah, I think this is why we quickly saw with the new regime change, how they are trying to make things better with Xbox, right? And Microsoft. And of course, Microsoft has no problem when you're going through something to put the arm on the shoulder and kind of help you out. So that to me was a statement. To your point, though, it's tough because there's a part of me that loves them for the big games and the big splash. But we got to be real, Maddie. Like, it's just not sustainable for them right now. So as much as I want them to keep going big and maybe they just have to chill on the amount that they drop in a year. Maybe instead of going for the 3 to 4, AAA bangers, you made 1 or 2, and then you do a smaller game here and there. But their expectations are so high. So I'm hoping with the new leadership, there is a little bit of restraint with certain things, and hopefully they get back on track. I don't want them to go away. You know what I'm saying? I really,
definitely not, bro. They own way too much good stuff. Someone would buy them.
And this is one of the few times, Lord acquisition, I don't care who buys them. Like minus Tencent, minus Tencent, minus Embracer, because your pocket's looking funny in the light. Your pocket's looking funny in the light. We don't know what's going on with your wallet. So you need to relax on looking at anything. Like you need to stick to the dollar menu and chill. That's what you gotta relax, embrace. You don't need to be embracing anything right now. Show your wallet. But Square, I like, Sony, pick up somebody, if it gets to that. If hopefully it doesn't get to that. And they can self-sustain and self-correct with new leadership, and they can stay how it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's just where I'm at with them. But this is interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's when you look at some of the games they released over the years. I've brought up a little list here. Balan Wonderworld was one that was really hyped up, and we know how that ended. That was a pretty spectacular failure. Up for that. They make these fun risks that, as a gaming fan, I love. Like they did Neo: The World Ends With You. That game's awesome. Really legitimately great. One of the better games Square Enix has put out probably in the last 5 years, I would say. But it didn't catch on at all. I mean, it's so niche. Okay. You all know how much of a Trails fan I am. Yeah. Trails is gaining steam, but Trails outsold Neo: The World Ends With You. Oh, wow. Which is saying something in Japan. Like, not good, right? Babylon's Fall is another, right? You look at Triangle Strategy, which handedly outperformed Babylon's Fall. So it's just constantly, I think they just have this fixation on the big budget. Yeah. And I think if they scaled the operation, it reminds me a lot of Ubisoft, scale down, focus on the tighter, smaller stuff, your Tactics Ogre Reborns, with the big one coming every so now and then with your Final Fantasy entries. There we go. That bombastic splash is like, they're capable of this too. Because I really do like when they try to experiment and go big, but I can't think. I mean, 16 would be considered a success. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I would consider it a success.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's really hard to find that big moment for them. Like maybe Octopath Traveler 2 would be considered that. I think that may have actually been on a AAA budget, just given how much art and music and sound and just visuals, everything was packed into that game.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my read of it. But yeah, man, it's just, it's hard to see where they've taken a big leap and actually had it pay off handedly.
And the thing that's interesting is that with 16, you would think, what, 3 million, whatever, that sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But they themselves are not happy with it. And then also we got to talk about it, Maddie. Like the exclusive bag that they got didn't seem like it offset, right?
Yeah.
So now we have to look at, is the exclusivity thing paying off for them, right? And this is why they may be on this push to go a little bit more multi-plat.
Yep.
Yeah, and last thing I will say, I did get a chance to check out the Final Fantasy VII. It was a mobile game that they had on at PAX West.
I think it might be Ever Crisis. Yeah,
I ain't going front, Matty. It looked fire, and I don't care about no mobile games. Yeah. That game looked fire. I was like, me and Attic were like, yo.
They've put out some mobile games in the past that look really good.
Yeah. So again, we'll see how the Xbox relationship continues, because I know they value that. and remember, again, not to start trouble, I'm just saying, y'all, that Duke acquisition haters, I'm just saying their name was on that list, and they were broken down as to why the IPs, but mobile was there. That definitely was on Microsoft's radar. So let's just see what happens with Square long term. I'm just curious.
I think in the short term, more Game Pass deals. I think that's easy money for them, and I think Xbox will pony up. That would be my prediction. But yeah, long term,
who knows?
You made the list. Sorry, Square.
You made the list. We'll see.
All right, let's get into this Unity business here. Now, I expect some of this to change by the time this episode's out, but we're going to talk about it as is. Today is September 13th, but it's going so haywire that they've got to issue some sort of response and make a change here. Game developers are not pleased as Unity has announced a new policy called Unity Runtime Fee, with the goal of gouging highly successful games on the market. The blog announcing the fee reads, quote, "We are introducing a Unity runtime fee that is based upon each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user. We chose this because each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed. Also, we believe that an initial install-based fee allows creators to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement, unlike a revenue share," end quote. That threshold is a game passing a minimum revenue in the last 12 months and also passing a minimum lifetime install and count. Since then, Unity has walked back some of this, saying that the only one that counts is the initial installation of the game, triggering the fee, meaning re-downloads would not qualify. They also mentioned that those who are in Xbox Game Pass are not on the hook for fees. That's because it would fall to the platform holder. If you are a Unity game getting mass downloads on Xbox Game Pass, Microsoft would be the one footing the bill.
Really?
The Unity runtime fee is scheduled to take effect on January 1st, 2024. And actually, the Cult of the Lamb developer, I didn't add this into the script.
Did you peep?
They are threatening to take the game down come January 1st and not sell it any longer. Sean Mason has the right in here. Greetings, Dukes. I hope this message finds you well. How do you anticipate other game engines will respond to Unity Engine's new fee structure in the future, and how it might impact the game development industry as a whole? I'm hoping other companies see the backlash this announcement has garnered and don't follow the same route. Best, Sean M. This, dude, we've been doing this for a long time. A long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen something so dumb before. I genuinely don't think I've seen a more head up your ass move than this. It's blatantly greedy. I think that goes without saying that there's only one thing driving this. But games that were made on Unity, here's a good one, Among Us.
Yo.
Imagine how many downloads that's getting. They're like, oh, we want to collect a little bit. The amount of games running on Unity that get insane downloads, you wouldn't fucking believe. We just talked about a successful indie one that would pretty much offset all of its success. I don't even know if Sabotage could make another game, but they had to pay this install fee that Unity's trying to bring to light. There are small developers who are genuinely concerned, like they've put a small fortune into the game, and they're really worried, like, yo, should I just start porting my stuff over to Unreal now? Or whatever other engines available to me? Game Maker? it's scary, man. I feel really bad for people who are working on games right now. Really, really bad. I had a couple people write in, not to make this about me because I really don't want to.
No,
but
please. I actually wanted to. Yeah, I'm glad you.
Well, I'm happy to talk on it more. Yeah, I just didn't want to make it like. But I'm working on Unreal Engine, so my game is okay right now, so we're good. And one of the reasons I went with Unreal is their revenue policy is fucking great. Like, it's not about making money, but like, yeah, I don't want to be worked if my game ends up being really successful. So one thing that in response, Sean asked, like, what are these engine developers doing? Unreal has already posted that the first $1 million is yours in revenue. We don't take anything from you. And that's a lot of money to just be given up as the engine holder. And even then, the money they take afterwards, I mean, thank you, Fortnite. It's not much at all. And they're negotiating new deals where, like, Epic Game Store exclusivity, for example, you get the 100% of the revenue. I don't know if that's worth it at all because, you know, how much shopping is really being done there in full compared to Steam or GOG and the like. But yeah, man, like, as a game developer, like, I'd be stopped dead in my tracks right now. I'd be like, what are we going to do if they're going to just clean us out dry like this? I mean, it's scary. Like, this dramatically, if it holds, this dramatically impacts everything, not just developers, but like Xbox being on the hook for fees. Bro, they're not going to take your game if you're on Unity.
What if you're on PlayStation Plus?
PlayStation Plus, same thing. Downloads, the install. This cannot go forward, in my opinion. It's like one of those non-start. Like this, I don't know how the fuck it got across and how they managed to get this green lit all the way to the top. But bro, this will turn the industry up on its head because of how many games are being made on Unity. It's the first engine I started learning game development in. It's crazy to think about. And they talked shit about Unreal.
Yeah.
They talked shit about Unreal. Insane. Sorry, I'm going on though. Please chime in.
No. You're crazy. I was working behind the scenes. So excuse me if I seemed a little distracted because I was getting some intel about the situation. You know what I'm saying? So I was, excuse me, y'all. But look, this is, I hate to do whataboutism, but this is a whataboutism moment right now because it's like we sit here and we have to field questions about subscription services ruining the industry and we have to pay attention. This is a moment, y'all. This moment with Unity could literally kill the indie game scene. Period. Like this, we all need to be unified against Unity. This is crazy. Like, this affects me on so many levels. As a person who loves to go to the conventions, again, COG, if you put a gun in my head, I've said this in a mailbag many a time on LSM and Define and Do. If you put a gun in my head and you say, COG, you can only do one, podcasting or interviewing developers, it will always be interviewing developers. That is my passion. I love podcasting. Maddie, I love you. But I'm just saying, like, it's something about, to me, it reminds me of going to an indie or new art musician before they become a superstar, right? Mm-hmm. And you're getting their first album listening party before the world. This is their baby. And you know what the first question I always say, Maddie? Hey, this looks great. You know, what engine are you using, right? And 90% of the time, if it's indie, it's Unity. And I'm like, man, you got this thing singing, man. This thing looks good. Like, and it's so cool to see. So that's the first part. So much of the indie scene using it. And I'm seeing all my developer brothers and sisters freak out right now. They're hitting me. They're like, and I'm like, are you going to be okay? They were like, we don't know. Like, this is coming for us. Now, here's the other problem. There's like this minimum threshold for the 12 months, you know, then there's a minimum install count, right? There's so much trust me, bro, energy from Unity. People are like, well, what happens if I install it on my PC, install it on my Xbox, install it? You see what I'm saying? How are you determining, our proprietary system? Trust me, bro, energy, right? Then it's like, bro, it's like what it feels like. This is what it feels like. I think there's like 4 tiers of Unity, like personal, some other joint, I think plus. And then there's like the more expensive joint, like Unity Pro, Unity Enterprise, right? This is a clear push to push you into these expensive versions of it, because if you read the fine print, the threshold for how much money you can make goes from like 200,000 to like 2 million, right? Before they come in with the we want the money back tax or whatever it is, the day of foolishness they're doing. Like, this is terrible. This is terrible. Like, again, I don't trust anything they talk about, how they're counting the sales and all that. And then this really, really hurts anybody trying to be successful. So if you're successful, you have this thing on your head now of, oh man, how much am I gonna owe? So I forgot that studio that just said, hey,
it
we
punishes
gotta
you for having a legitimately great game.
a
You
great
want
game.
your game to underperform.
And then it's like retroactive, like older people gonna get this smoke too. Like, it's not like, it's like it is so messed up that a developer was saying that they're about to have an unannounced Game Pass game in 2024, right? So they're like, yo, like, this destroys us. So last point I'll say, because we got to have some fun with this. You know who Suda 51 is? No More Heroes, the legend?
Yeah.
Okay. Suda, apparently, during his time at EA, was, because apparently whoever's the CEO of Unity right now, this John, whatever his name, Circatella, whatever his guy's name is, was the CEO. Now, to see, he was worked at EA at one point, and he was working. He had to deal.
That up. That's an amazing trajectory right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and he had to deal. Suda had to deal. This guy made Suda's team so miserable with all the changes and things they wanted to do to destroy their game that Suda literally made this man the antagonist boss in his game. And all he did was change the man's first name and kept the last name. That's how much this man is hated, and who is now the CEO of Unity, now running this. And then this guy's got statements. I don't know if you've seen this guy talking, developers are idiots not to put microtransactions in their game. I love them, but they're stupid. Like, that's what he's saying now. As
he's been in the news for a while now, bro.
Bruh. Last thing I'll say, it feel like maybe a class action may be coming. I was speaking to Hogue. I know that developers are trying to do something to fight back. I don't know if they will win it, but man, this is scary stuff, and this is awful for the indie scene. And I hope there's a rollback. I hope there's a discussion, because of that,
bro. It's on it. It's okay. One angle. Sorry, were you?
No. Please jump in. Because
I didn't want to interrupt.
No, jump in.
One other part of the process, we're thinking a lot of the existing things or the soon to come things. What's kind of scary is, like, I'm in the process right now where, like, we're about to hit pre-alpha and we're getting ready to pitch again. And, we have the mechanics up and running. A lot of the art's done. Like, we're feeling really good about what we have. I can't imagine being at this stage. And then let's say I was working on Unity and I'm like, who's gonna fund our game, knowing how much they got to foot the bill for us beyond just funding the game. That's scary, bro. The amount of people who are sitting there going, did I just like sink all my money for nothing?
Facts.
Because a lot of people, this should be your lesson that I've said time in, time out. Like, you don't just load up the project file in another engine. It doesn't work that way, man. Like, this is going to take, for the teams that think it's worth it, which many will, it's going to take time and more time to bring their games out now, because they got to bring it to a new engine first.
Yeah, we were just talking about
a lot of them, because like you mentioned, the indie efforts,
yes, please,
on a much smaller scale, so it's going to take even longer.
Yeah, no, you or fire. Like, I was just thinking about all the resources 343 had when they were thinking about going from slip space, to Unreal, right? This is not flippers. This is a huge team, man. Like, you telling an indie studio, like, now I will say this, I know Unreal and Epic will be trying to figure out a way to capitalize on this.
Bro,
but
they will be smart to just sit there and exactly what they did. Just be like, here, come get your free money.
Yeah, and let it play. Money. But this is a scary day. This is a scary day. We got to monitor this situation, because I was floored at how tone deaf, how greedy this seems. And the last point I said, there's nothing scarier than not knowing how much you're going to owe if you're successful or not. It's just scary stuff, man.
Yeah. Some games like Among Us, Cult of the Lamb, Devolver publishes a lot of Unity games.
We delisting on January 1st.
Tabs, Total Accurate Battle Simulator,
Facts.
Gary's Mod, Rust,
Mm.
Firaxis,
Oh, my people.
Slay the Spire.
Wait, Firaxis is using Unity? No, no.
Yeah,
Some of them games, yeah. Some
yeah.
of them. I know XCOM is I thought was Unreal and
I think,
Midnight
I'm
Suns.
sorry. I
Mm.
apologize. This is, I think, an employee from Firaxis. I
Oh, an
might have
employee
misheard.
for okay, I
My
got you. Okay.
apologies. But
What
yeah,
about
these are all mega popular games.
mm.
In fact, Slay the Spire developer says they've been hard at work these past 2 years developing a new game, but unlike with Slay the Spire, the engine we've been developing on is Unity.
Yeah.
And they said at the bottom in bold, "We have never made a public statement before. That is how badly you fucked up."
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm seeing devs outside.
Scary.
We gotta watch it. See how this goes.
Yeah, I think Epic, if they're smart, which they have been opportunistic as shit since
Oh,
they've had
hell
that
yeah.
Fortnite cash, they're gonna be all over this. As
Mhm.
selfishly, as someone developing an Unreal Engine, I'm excited to see what they do. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Unity walks this back, because they're gonna literally sink. No one's gonna want to make games on their engine. Like, that's the God's honest truth. No one is gonna look at that and say, "Oh yeah, let me do that. Let me go give you a ton of my money." Like, I can't make any money, but you can. No one's gonna use this engine. It's literally gonna kill Unity
And
if they keep walking forward with it.
here's the arrogance. Like, you really think Sony and Microsoft is gonna fit this bill for you? Like, you really like to say that? Oh yeah, no worries. Like, they'll take care of it. We won't put that on you. Yeah? Who did you speak to? Who did you speak to that said that this check is coming for you, signed Sony and Microsoft? I'm dying to know. This is some funny stuff, boy. Oh boy, we gonna watch this play out.
Yeah, this will definitely. We'll get updates in the coming weeks, no doubt. But those are our current thoughts as the story's breaking. Cog, you talked about the Embracer Group. Let's roll into them. Embracer Group is reportedly listening to offers on developer Gearbox as they continue to undergo restructuring. They just shut down Volition, as we talked about last week. NeoGD writes in, Dukes. At the time of writing this, rumors are swirling that Embracer wants to get rid of Gearbox, but who would you like to see them go to? Thanks, and have a, but could you deliver space pizza in Starfield kind of day? I'll grab the quote. The Gearbox CEO, I believe, had commented on these swirling rumors. I'll grab it in a moment, but Cog, you know where my head went to this? We'll answer Neil's question. My head immediately went to what you said a while ago. I think my man's on the money. I think Embracer's holding on to some of those Western Square Enix studios for a certain publisher until a deal is done. Because at first I was like, you know what? That's crazy, but maybe crazy not to work. Now I'm seeing them offload and restructure. I'm like, yo, y'all better kiss Cog's feet if this happens.
If this comes out to be right. In full transparency, I got to give credit on this one to because of King. King was the one to call it even before me. But the tea leaves are aligning, and it's like, man, yeah, like this is. I will say the Crystal Dynamics situation got us a lot more interesting if this continues as well, because we know obviously their closeness with Initiative right now and Darryl Gallagher and that squad. And then obviously there's Idols, Deus Ex people, and we got to see how this is going to play out. But yeah, we know who Wallet is a little funny right now, and maybe waiting because remember, Microsoft still has to be a separate entity from ABK until that is finalized. And I think once that is finalized, then maybe we'll see what happens other places.
I found the quote.
Let's go.
In an email viewed by Bloomberg, Gearbox Chief Communications Officer Dan Hewitt told staff that there were many possible outcomes after the studio was put up for sale. The base case is that Gearbox remains part of Embracer, he wrote. However, there are many options under consideration, including Gearbox's transfer, taking Gearbox independent, and others. Ultimately, we will move ahead with whichever path is best for both Gearbox and Embracer. End quote.
Cool.
So they could go independent.
Yeah, we could go.
What do you think the best case scenario is here? I feel like if you're Take-Two, you got to be on this, right?
Yeah, Take-Two should jump
like that's just the match.
Yeah, that's the relationship. Surprisingly, I think Xbox should chill with them.
Yeah,
surprisingly,
no,
yeah. I don't. I think we're good. We're good. You guys are popping. Y'all had y'all run. You got some good stuff. You got some good assets. Don't get me wrong, but I think 2K. Take that. That's the natural. Take-Two is the more natural fit there. So that's what I'm going.
Because just Gear. I don't want to speak for everyone, but like to me, I feel like Borderlands is really lost the steps since Borderlands 2. 3 was, to me, narratively like really bad. Like, what's forgotten about Borderlands 1 and 2 is how cleverly written they were. They weren't just funny games. Like, they were legitimately great stories packed into a hilarious tale. And they never evolved beyond the spitting out loot. It was just like they were the first to do loot vomits that many people saw in a first-person shooter. And they just never did anything afterwards, really. Yeah. Never. It's just like, bro, killing me. And what's funny is I think Gearbox ended up buying the Risk of Rain developer, who was like the only one who I feel like took that idea and carried it forward. So maybe we'll see some elements bleed into their next game. But yeah, like I didn't enjoy Tiny Tina Wonderlands. Borderlands 3 was really disappointing. I wondered at first if I grew out of it, but I just feel like their mechanics have just not developed them further. And that's why I think there's like a very dedicated fan base to Borderlands. No doubt about it. They're still there. But I remember the hype, man. I used to cover Borderlands 3. People may not know this, but I used to cover that game pretty closely. I did like news updates, lore videos, breakdowns, everything for Borderlands 3. It was like one of the bigger games that I had covered. I remember traveling to Hollywood for the massive warehouse they filled people up to do the preview event of with Borderlands 3. And it just feels like we're a far cry away from that level of anticipation and excitement for the franchise. That felt like the big one. It didn't feel like they really nailed it at all, in my opinion, and I think it's tapered off since, unfortunately. I get why Embracer may want to shed this one.
I feel they've peaked, and I'm with you. I think that literally everything you said, like it's nothing really more. It's just that they were the OGs. They're they are the looter shooter OG, and I will always respect them for that. But like, other than that, I'm not. I need to see something before I can, look at you serious.
I think they helped with like a Halo 2 map or something like that recently. So, there's that.
There's that.
This one's pretty funny. An Xbox Mastercard has been announced with a 29% APR. Told y'all, evil villain Xbox in the post Starfield world is on the way, and they're going to collect your interest and then some, man. Oh boy, how's that for space pirating? All right, so I just thought this was funny. I don't know what else there is to say on it other than don't fucking sign up for this thing. I'm not qualified for official financial advice, but this is, as long as you pay off your credit card, I'm sure this wouldn't be a problem. That would be really the advice. But like, dude, that's insane. 29%. What are your thoughts, What are your thoughts on the Xbox Mastercard? It looks good. I would love to have it in my wallet. It looks good, but I will not be signing up.
You don't want those exclusive, you know what I'm saying? The deals?
They couldn't even mix the rewards programs. Like, what would caught my ear if they're like, the Xbox rewards program you got on the dashboard, it's combined with the Xbox rewards program we're going to have with this card. I'm like, you couldn't, they did two separate rewards programs. Like, you could have fucked it up more, man. You couldn't have.
Dude, wait for gaming. Let's see. You don't want the exclusive, exclusive to insiders, you card members. Earn card points, everyday purchase, redeem those for add-ons at Xbox.com. You're not feeling that. You want the 5 times card points, dining delivery services. You're not about that. Oh, wait, hold on. They got a little something. All right. Bonus. All right, they said 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate. We got to break it up for that 30%. 3 months. You know what I'm saying? And then we get, if you're already Game Pass, you can easily gift it to a friend. Choose one of 5 iconic designs. Free online access to your FICO credit score, which allows you to keep an eye. Make sure you ain't get too crazy. 0 fraud liability protection. Like, they cover for the students. This
is definitely a very seductive credit card that some impressionable kids getting their first credit card 100% are going to go for. When I got my first credit card, man, I had to get a New York Rangers one. Discover had it. That was all there was to it at first.
And here's the thing, when you do start off your credit journey, I remember I used to be at that age, like, scared of credit cards. And I remember they were like, bro, like, you have no credit. Like, you have to get a credit card so we can see, proof of whatever. So this is that, college, just first year out of, the high school dude. But be careful, because 29% is very high. And the reality is you start stockpiling them Series X covers and pre-order and collector editions, and you could just, swipe and you lit. That comes back. Cog, before the fake Sun Cog used to have issues before. I had to get some things in check in order with myself. So be careful, youngins. Just be careful.
I just avoid my credit card. I shouldn't. I have great credit score, but I should try to just keep using my credit card and paying it off immediately, because as they always say, that's the best to do. But I hate the idea of like spending without a currency actually leaving my wallet, but in fact being added to it skeeves me out, bro. I try to avoid using credit cards whenever I can, man. Quite frankly. I'm a debit card, bro.
I'm a debit, because it's coming out. You like, that's the responsibility. It forces you to chill.
Like, fill your gas tank with the credit card, paid off immediately. I'm like, nah, fam, I'm good.
I feel you. Debit card life. I feel you.
Debit card life. Forza Motorsport performance and resolutions have been revealed for the Xbox Series X and S. For Xbox Series X, we got 3 little SKUs for you here. We have performance, which is 4K 60. Then we have performance ray tracing, 4K 60. Not bad.
Variable. It could go up to 4K, or it could go down.
Up to 4K.
Yeah, you got to be clear. With that one.
No, very, very important clarification. And then there's quality ray tracing, 4K 30. And then for the little man, Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
Performance mode, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Quality mode, 1080p, 30 frames per second. Cog, your thoughts, sir? You had the chance to interview, I think it was Chris
Sasaki, the legend from Turn 10, man. So I brought this up. LSL community, I'm gonna be proud, as I brought this stuff up, because we got to challenge him, especially after a post Redfall, world. We got to ask these questions, and he didn't dodge, but they did dodge at the time. They weren't ready to talk about Lil Man at this time. They gave us everything on Series X, and that was fine. That was great. But I will say, look, 1080-60 is great. My main thing is get to 60 frames, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to see Lil Man do that. So that's cool. Most people are going to live on performance. Now, the thing that is interesting with either mode, which I'm not too surprised based on the cost hardware-wise of ray tracing, but no ray tracing on Series S. And it looks like they've made a decision. Like, you know what? Is it substantial enough to tank our frame rate? Because look, you saw full ray tracing 4K 30. It brought Series X down to 30, right? So that was interesting. They made that decision. I think, honestly, it was the right call, because you want a 60 frames per second mode on Little Man to have that speed kind of thing. I'm just curious, what's 1080-30 in quality mode? Like, what is it? Is it more shading? More I'm very curious about that part.
So I'm looking at it right now, and right now, looking at the Series S, they have like a chart broken down. They have FPS, max resolution, dynamic resolution, reflections, AO technique, GI technique, HQ motion blur, and these differ for the various modes. So for quality, reflections are off, ray trace reflections are off. The dynamic resolution is on for both. The AO technique is baked for both, and the GI technique is the same. It's like pretty much the same across the board. It looks like maybe the home space and car theater are ray traced in quality, is my understanding. And the motion blur is high. I apologize, I did have a typo.
Okay.
1440p quality for, see, the way this chart's laid out, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second.
Yeah.
So it says performance 1080-60, quality 1440-30. Sounds great, right? But then cinematics are 1080-30. And then home space, it says 1440-30. And then car theater 1440-30. So it's mostly 1440 outside of the cinematics, which are 1080.
Right.
So it's going to be switching. It's going to be varying up a little bit. And then again, the motion blur is on high for quality mode. So it doesn't sound like you should be playing on quality on.
I'm not seeing.
I apologize for my typo, by the way.
No, you good.
Yeah, that's kind of the full breakdown of the chart there. But yeah, overall looking solid.
Man,
we'll talk more about Forza in a little bit. Jez Corden has a couple of scoops for us. Speaking on the next Mass Effect, he says, quote, I've heard that Mass Effect is ditching open world and going back to the classic format. I don't know if that's accurate 100%, but it's an industry rumor, end quote. God, giving you your favorite game that you showed up with for LSM. I just want to make sure I pass this off to you. What are we feeling about Andromeda's more open approach going away and maybe back to a little bit of what made 2 particularly great?
Yeah, this is the essence of what they do. It was the hub world, contained universe where you really couldn't go to every single planet and all this other stuff. But yeah, like that's Mass Effect. I know Andromeda, attempted it. And what's crazy is Andromeda's actual planet combat and jumping down, like it was actually pretty decent. That wasn't the problem with the game. Everything else was the problem. The story and the faces.
It's really just a story of not a story, but rather just a tale of how storytelling and bad characters can really sink you.
Yes, absolutely. And as well as the engine switch, because Frostbite was not kind to them. I remember that. Like, my face is tired.
Oh God.
The classic quotes and the running and that's how I was like, man, they need Unreal back over there. But yeah, that was pretty much it. But no, this is good. I hope so. I'm just worried all the way down. Shout out to Jets for this one, but with everything going on with Dragon's Age right now, my fear for BioWare is just, I'm just worried. I'll be honest. I don't know what's going to happen because to me, this is directly impacting Mass Effect. Mass Effect can't come out until this, and we don't know. It's such I don't say a mess, but we don't know what's going on. They got rid of people. Then we know our boys over there, Dara's, but it's like, man, what's happening? I'm very concerned about BioWare.
My read of BioWare is I think they're pulling off a lot of necessary Band-Aids. I'm not advocating for layoffs like some people thought I was, but I said that layoffs had to happen and they had to shed the Old Republic, and they've done both of those. And this is the kind of leadership they were missing. Not that they got to get rid of workers constantly, but I think they've been avoiding a lot of tough news for a while and just slowly bleeding out. And I think they had to just, again, rip these Band-Aids off where there's no doubt that all the pressure in the world's on Dragon Age 4 to be great. And it's only been exaggerated now with Baldur's Gate 3 success. I've said time in, time out that the only game that should really feel pressure in a post Baldur's Gate 3 world is anything coming from BioWare, because that game is so, in a good way, BioWare, that it's reminding people of why we cared about that company in the first place. And if they come out with something that, based on what we saw with the leaked gameplay, very action-focused combat, I'm worried too. I really want them. It doesn't mean the game's going to be bad, but it's people have been wanting for so long for BioWare to truly, authentically, not half-heartedly go back to what made them special. I'm not talking Inquisition, which was like, yeah, look, we got the top-down camera, we got some tactical stuff, just like in Origins. It's like, no, we're not looking for that with Dragon Age 2. We want just Origins. Like, there was a reason y'all were popping off up until around 2009. Like, in a weird way, while it was their own fault. Mass Effect is like the best and worst thing that happened to them, because I think with Mass Effect's success, they wanted to make everything action-focused. Dragon Age never needed to be an action series. Never. Ever, ever, ever. Should have always been an evolution of what KOTOR was. But it just stopped, and they just made Dragon Age 2, and then Inquisition was what it was. So I'm hoping with this renewed focus that they seem to have, while it does look scary from the outside, I really am pulling for them that it's going to lead to them delivering a BioWare quality game. And look, I think while the gameplay will carry some of the weight, COG, if the writing is there, if the storytelling is there, if the choices are there, to me, and by the way, without the grind involved in the middle of that, because Inquisition has a legit good story, it's just hard to find sometimes. Anyway, if they find that, I think people will love this game. I think people will genuinely love Dragon Age 4 if it is a great story that brings you back to the old BioWare times, because that is what people have been looking for. I think they're in the same exact corner Bethesda was in pre-Starfield. Can you bring us back to why we loved you? Starfield came out, and I think people, to mixed results, but a lot of people were like, this is why I loved Bethesda, right? This is the type of game we're looking for from them.
Oh, yeah.
Jez spoke also on Xbox overhauling achievements. He said, quote, I did speak to an Xbox exec at Gamescom specifically about the Platinum achievement. They said they want to do it. It's just a matter of priorities and time. But I do think that the Xbox Platinum achievement, improvements in the achievement system will come. It's just a case of getting through the other stuff they want to do right now. End quote. God, we've been pushing for the overhauled achievement system for a while, and this is the answer we keep getting. So not new news, but my friend, what do you make of us waiting a little bit longer for an achievement overhaul?
I'm trying to be patient here. I'm getting annoyed. It's like, come on. Like, why is it taking so long? Like, I've heard about this stuff since, man, like Xbox One era, they would talk about this stuff. I heard about like, I remember back when Mike Barr was there at Microsoft and they were talking about, having not only this type of stuff, but also having like this legacy achievement thing for guys that's like, hey, you play nothing but Destiny or you play nothing but Call of Duty, and we're going to give you these type of trophies that show your commitment to a game or a genre and stuff like that for the guys that kind of play that type of stuff. So yeah, look, I'm not saying the team ain't busy. Obviously, they just dropped a great platform update that I like, but I'm a little disappointed at the speed of achievements and clearly the priority of it, because I think this would help them. This would really help, especially on the heels of Starfield right now, which is like, hey, people would put that with pride. Hey, we got that platinum, whatever. We did all the things. You know what I'm saying? So I think it hurts them not having it because it literally directly ties into Game Pass engagement.
I agree. And it's funny. I think they're going to wait for a new generation to do it. They've waited so long already. I think they're just going to wait for next gen. I really think you could just kick the can down the road at this point. I don't want them to, but yeah. I just think about if I'm them, what benefits them doing it right now? Other than like, yes, finally. I don't know, man. I would love to be wrong. I think that's the most sensible time when you introduce a new console. It's like, here's the new system.
I get where you're going. I mean, it's possible. I hope it's not that. It's definitely possible. It's just, again, if you have something to reward, it's like what Colin and I was talking about. If you have something to reward completion rates, right, and you want engagement for your service that you're touting, you need to get it done. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I know there's bandwidth that has to be, apparently like, with ABK, it's not just a flip the switch. They got to go through all the catalog. They have to, on the back end, change the game. I get it. It's not as easy as I'm making it seem, but you need to put some resources to prioritize. Again, if your vision is Game Pass, they're the one telling us Game Pass and, subscription and growth and engagement, you need to get on this. Like, that is going to help you. So we'll see what happens. But at least I'm glad Jez said that they talked about it. It's mentioning, what do you say? It's just a case of getting through the other stuff they want to do. And hopefully it's number 3 on the list. But please, let's go. Yeah.
Starfield could have had Fallout's Earth in it, according to an interview with Todd Howard conducted by fellow Duke Gene Park. Todd admits that they talked about it, but given where Fallout 4 is set in the timeline and happening mere decades before Starfield's events, the team decided it didn't make sense to connect the two. Todd also stated that the narrative and style of the two didn't match up, and when you lop on developing during a pandemic, it made certain ideas easy to drop during the project. Now, I will disagree with Todd on one point here, that the narrative and style of Starfield and Fallout are different. Both are very, 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 very tragic universes in my eyes. And while I love Fallout way more, Starfield borrows way more from Fallout than it does Elder Scrolls by a country mile. There's so many similarities in my eyes. But I thought this is like an interesting nugget here. Nothing crazy to write home about, but Cog, any thoughts on Fallout's Earth not making the cut for Starfield?
Yeah, interesting nugget. I mean, I was surprised to see that they were even thinking about connecting it in that way, that kind of thing. But yeah, it would have been a cool Easter egg kind of thing. And I think someone pointed out to me there's some type of a Skyrim Easter egg in it in Starfield for the Skyrim guys. But it would have been a nice too, but we get it. We understand why they this direction.
It would have, I think, hurt Fallout more than it would have helped Starfield.
Interesting.
Last bit here, and we'll talk about what we're playing. According to a report from Bloomberg, Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor director Stig Asmussen has left Respawn. Quote, after careful thought and consideration, Stig Asmussen has left or has decided to leave Respawn to pursue other adventures. and we wish him the best of luck, an EA spokesperson said to Bloomberg in a statement. Veteran Respawn leaders will be stepping up to guide the team as they continue their work on Star Wars Jedi Survivor. End quote. Cog, this is your team, man. And we both love Jedi Survivor. What are your thoughts, man?
Bro,
Stig is out.
Yeah, Stig, man. It's a huge loss. This is a huge loss. This is a man responsible, for the resurgence in a great single player Star Wars game being viable at EA. You know what I'm saying? Like at EA, bro. Michael Jackson, and, FIFA and Madden and, the yearly annualization of things to really get them to believe. And of course, shout out to Stig, shout out to Vince, but Stig is a big part of this. So this is a huge blow. I was very concerned, so I had to holla at some peeps, over there and see
let's hear it.
So the energy is pretty much, look, this is a loss. We're not going to say it's not. Bittersweet. I will add in that this is not what was told to me, but I will add this part in that clearly this bag that was given to Stig had to be substantial to make this man jump, right? So wherever he's going, it's got to be a tremendous opportunity. But I was reassured that don't worry, there's capable people that it's in hands of as far as the vision. From my understanding, they've already spoken to existence that at least even Stig that they intended this to be a trilogy.
Yes.
So, at some point,
definitely a trilogy.
So Cal will live on, kind of thing. And yeah, I it's bittersweet, but from my understanding, all things are in place for this to be a smoother transition. And I heard it's in more than capable, and like people are confident that and wish there's no beef, like wish the best.
Yeah, not a negative departure.
Yeah, not a negative. Like, yeah, we could wait. None of that. Everything is good, and it's just like, damn, that's the homie. Bittersweet, but good things still await. Don't flip out just yet. I'm not.
Awesome. Certainly.
I was worried.
Yeah, certainly having a good leader helps, but that team has shown they're extremely capable with the rate at which they produced. I know Jedi Survivor for a lot of people didn't land because of its performance, but the hastiness at which we got Survivor.
Oh yeah,
compared to most of the industry and how long they take to make games. That's a well-organized studio they've got at Respawn. Yeah. So I don't expect this to disrupt them too hard, but hopefully the vision is firmly in place for what Game 3 will be for the Star Wars Jedi series. All right, Cog. With that, we move on to what games we are playing. We have a pretty similar list here. Would you like to start off with our Forza Motorsport preview? Yeah. Kind of get that one underway here because we have a write-in from Not Skywalker. Dear Dukes, just finishing listening to DDU's preview of Forza Motorsport. I was excited to hear about the car PG elements. Does Turn 10 use that as a term at all? Car PG?
I always used it, but I don't know if they used it. It's interesting.
That's new to me. That's a great term right there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, car PG elements and the increased attention to progression, as well as your overall positive impressions regarding its technical performance. I have a tangential follow-up question regarding both the tech and RPG sensibilities. Has your hands-on time with the latest game to utilize Forza tech done anything to influence your expectations for Fable? Presumably, Fable's engine will be spun off a version of Forza tech more similar to Motorsports rather than Forza Horizon 5's, given its current-gen affiliation. For me, Maddie's comments about lighting and nighttime scenery reinvigorated some excitement that Fable will be utilizing some of this tech. Cheers and have a burger, fries, and wait, where's the gears shake kind of day from Aiden. Thank you, Aiden. Dope. We appreciate you writing in. So yeah, Cog, you and I, we went to New York City. We went to the Microsoft Experience Center and we sat down to play about 2-ish hours of Forza Motorsport. They were on Xbox Series X. You can listen to the full DDU. It's available now if you missed it. So we'll kind of lean on that as being there for you to check out the deep dive, but we still wanted to address it here. But we sat down, we played through some of the game's career mode. And Cog, what did you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. For a guy who is not a motorsport guy, who is not the hardcore simulation guy anymore, I'm Team Horizon, will always be that. But it was refreshing. First, it was an adjustment because, usually I'm ready for like festival soundtracks and all type of bombastic energy. And this is, no. This is you and the road and the sound of this engine, the sound of the physics, the cars. And again, the way it was explained to us is like, hey, this ain't no car collection game, bro. This is you're gonna develop this relationship with these cars, and the car RPG aspect. For those who didn't get a chance to listen to Duke Ultimate, really resonated. The best example I can give, it kind of reminds me of Kudos from Project Gotham Racing from back in the day, which is everything you do when qualifying, whether it be segmented in these little track, these little like turn 3, turn 5, everything is about visual representation and trying to get you to improve. And while you're doing that, you're seeing all this positive incentive on the screen. You're leveling up, you're getting these sounds, the announcer's telling you stuff. And I thought it was really cool. And again, for a person that's like, man, we got to practice, then we got to qualifying, then we got to do the extra thing. Like at first, I was like, it was going to be daunting. And the competitive juices of cogs started coming out. So as far as not Skywalker's question about the Forza tech, I didn't really see anything there to make me go, look, it's a good looking game, but it's nothing to make me, because it's so different from a genre of Forza, nothing to make me, from Fable, nothing to make me go, oh, for sure, like I could see them. It just doesn't parallel. Now, I know Maddie mentioned the lighting, I'm gonna be real. When I saw Fable, I'm like, oh, they good. Like they good. Like,
yeah, we could already see in the gameplay for Fable that the lighting tech is pretty impressive there.
Yes, they're so good that people were questioning if that was real time of the game.
That's they doubled down twice.
And they doubled down twice. So that Forza Tech, whatever they doing, is out there moving. And you can make an argument that Fable, you can make this argument. I know Hellblade people, the Hellblade gang, don't come for me. But you can make an argument that Fable is the best looking game as far as the next gen offerings from a graphical fidelity standpoint. It looked that good, right? So yeah, we'll see. But this definitely impressed me, and there's more to come. The key is going to be, like we talked about on Ultimate, is the career mode enough to satisfy the hardcore, to keep them coming back? There will be that question. But for a guy that doesn't play, I was like, hey, I thought this was pretty fun. What was your thoughts, Mr. Matty, please?
Yeah, it's like Skywalker posed it. They focused on progression. They said car progression, not car collection. That sounded off the alarm bells because it's a live service game, but I'm going to trust Turn 10 to not turn into that because they haven't given me a reason to distrust them yet. So give them the benefit of the doubt right now. But when it came to the experience, everyone knows I'm an RPG nerd through and through. So I'm out of my element, trying to expose myself to something different. And kind of approaching it with the perspective of, I think when I tackle any video, I'm like, what value can I provide here? And so the value I was thinking I could provide is, okay, you're not into racing games at all. You're especially not into simulation racing games at all. You didn't grow up playing them at all. Why would this one be for you? Right? Could it sell me in a couple hours? And in a lot of ways, I was already excited because of the career mode and kind of getting into the nitty gritty. Just on a certain level, after we saw it, I was like, you know what? That kind of speaks to me more than Horizon's goofiness. Like I grew up playing Burnout and whatnot, so I already, in Need for Speed, I had my fun with those kind of arcadey racers. But as I grew up, my natural desire was like, I want to get in and out of the car and do other things.
Right.
And so that's where we'd get things like GTA and whatnot, where, that was the natural progression for me. Like, you let me get out of the car and I can shoot things and pick things up and all that stuff. That's great.
Nice.
That's right. So that was the natural transition for me as a kid enjoying racing games. So how does Forza Motorsport hook you? I think Cog touched on it a bit with the competitive juices flowing. To me, the number one thing I'd want to call out is they have you do a warm up before every race. And at first I'm like, oh, come on, just let me race, man. I'm holding down the right trigger. I'm trying to will myself into a win. But then you learn as you pay attention to the sound, as you pay attention to like hearing your tire skid and you're losing speed and gaining speed, and you're learning about how you hit turns at the right point, that the races are won on the corners, and what they do to really bring that to attention to someone like me who, again, knows it's no exaggeration, nothing at all. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing here. So that's a testament to the proper design of the game, because it really did communicate visually in a way where I was like, oh, I get this now. So what would happen is you'd hit these checkpoints and it would say like turn 4, and you'd hit it, a timer would start, and it was color coded. It'd be green if you were ahead of the last time you went through that turn, or red if you're behind. And so what it would do is say like, okay, you got 10 seconds that time. So you come around, it's like green. You actually got 9.5 seconds that time. And you realize at first you're like, okay, it's a half second. That's a quarter of a second. It's like a couple of milliseconds. But what you learn as you get into the races is when you come in first or second or third, you may have just won by 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And the reason that's important is because those 2 to 3 seconds are gained through those corner turns. And so that kind of obsessive nature is what I think drove my enjoyment, literally, pardon the pun, of Forza Motorsport. And the progression's there. They have very easy upgrade systems where
Thank God for that
green number,
button.
apply. Yeah, they got the auto upgrade button if you really don't care. That led me down a dangerous path. My handling was so tight on my car, I couldn't turn a corner.
King was laughing at you.
King got me good on that. Caught me slipping. I was putting on some good gameplay, but then he caught me when I was getting a little lazy with it. And so like the auto upgrade is there, can kind of help guide you a little bit. And what I learned is that with that auto upgrade system versus what I did manually, that the same car can feel 3 different ways. And that's something I really appreciated. So they talked. I feel like Turn 10 likes to get very intimate with their pieces of metal. They were they want you to be one with your car, one with the road. They want you to, in their words, create a relationship with your vehicle. I'm just like, all right, man, look, I'm only using that gas tank to fill it with gas. I'm not using it for anything else,
doing
man.
else with it.
I'm not doing anything else with it. All right, let's relax, guys. And so they really want you to stick with one car, which goes back to car progression. So I picked a Subaru, and it was like a 2019 model. And you could see as you were leveling up, you were getting better parts. And there's going to come that moment you could kind of foresee, like, okay, I have a level 24 Subaru where I got this level 1 2021 model that is behind right now. But if I spend time leveling it up, then I can ditch this one and that'll be better. But is that worth it right now? Like, how many races am I going to lose? So that's where I think Forza Motorsport's going to get a lot of people, that kind of progression hook. It's just about if it's utilized well, because you mix progression with live service, and that's kind of what scares me, right? Like, you could ignore all that in Forza Horizon because it's just a big open world game full of fun activities, and event lab where there's crazy other activities people are making, and you're just raking it in. It's a great time. But yeah, you could zip right into a high level car in Horizon, whereas in this game you're going to start humble beginnings and kind of climb your way up. So we only saw the Builders Cup, which is like the opening part of the career mode, but after that, who knows how it goes. But overall, compared to, like, if I were to look at the 2 preview sessions we've gone to this year, this and Redfall, this was definitely the more impressive showing the 2, especially because it was more transparently done. They were like, Series X right here in the open. Yes, you got to see it run in your game. Like, okay, this is what I mean. How old is this build? They're like, it's about a month old. I was like, okay,
you want this capture? You want this capture?
Yeah. They let us capture our own gameplay. So seems a little bit more confident. Sorry, you had more to say, though. One
thing I have to give them credit for, to me, which was the thing that blew me away, and it was in the interview I had with Turn 10 Chris Sasaki, was, again, the thing is, beauty of this game for the simulation guys is this game is all about promoting clean racing. And they had this feature that I thought was truly revolutionary. And again, if other games do it, you could call me out, like, oh, this has been around racing it. I don't play simulation games. I haven't done that. So this to me was something cool. So basically what COG, I'm trying my best to drive clean. Usually the start of the race is where all the trouble starts for me. It's, all 16 cars, they're piled up. Here comes turn 1, turn 2, hairpin, everybody's bunch. You try. And I'm like, I'm trying not to touch nobody. I'm trying, right? I'm trying to hit the race line. I'm braking. I'm being super cautious. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? And the cool thing is, there was a time I was trying to avoid it. And, another car kind of nipped me. And I'm like, oh, come on, bro. Like, you see on the screen, it goes collision, right? And then there's a pause. And during this pause, right, the way it was explained to me, it's called FRR. I think it's Forza Race Regulations, right? It's almost like, it's basically machine learning. So what the game is doing is, at the point of collision, it's processing the 15 seconds before the collision, the 15 seconds after the collision. And at that point, it makes a decision. All right, no penalty. because they say, hey, that was during the course of the racing line. There was no malice, whatever.
Mhm.
Now, there was one time where it was clearly, I knew I came in, bang, like I was too much. I was too much one time. And it accurately was like penalty. And then at the end, it's like, minus a tenth or whatever it is, a second off my final lap time that will affect my positioning. So the beauty of it is this system. And I was told also it's in online play, which is extremely impressive to me. So again, this is something that, again, they rewrote the game. A couple of features like this they have in the game that I thought was really cool. And I was really blown away by that tech. And I felt how fair it was. So salute to them on that. And yeah, we'll see how the longevity of the game and if the simulation guys, got all their boxes checked. But, from a casual perspective, I thought it was solid. I thought it was really solid.
Agreed. As for the other game we're playing, more Starfield. Let's hear from you, sir.
Bro,
How are you feeling?
I'm having so much fun. It's just, I can't stop playing it. And that's what I knew it had me. It's an addictive thing. So now, I'm in my ship building thing, piloting skill on sea. And like, I'm right now, like I'm in my Star Trek Enterprise phase.
Okay.
Where I got a ship where it's like my pilot seat. There's a quest that you get from Walter. Bro, this quest is fire. It is the funny. I think I mentioned it before.
Yeah, you mentioned it last week.
Yeah. So you get rewarded. So I was like, oh, this is me? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I got some Star Trek Enterprise joint. Now it's like, damn, I don't got a leadership skill. It's the one under leadership that allows you to have more crewmates. So that's what I want. I want because right now I got Vasco in the tuck, Andrea, and Sam Cole. I switch between the three, and of course, a Doran fan is when I want to do my dirt. We're a Doran fan. We rocking, right? You ain't gonna say nothing if I rob 4 or 5 people. He
doesn't judge you at all.
Bro, Doran's like, whatever you say, sir. He was like,
I never tried that. That's
Doran fan is all about my BS. It's nothing that he have a problem with. He was like, oh, okay, sir. That's no problem. Oh, we're murdering today.
Wow.
Yo, a Doran fan. I do all my. I was like, yo, Sam Cole, I leave you in the crib, bro. Gotta leave y'all in the crib. Because me and the Doran, whenever it's time to do a mission, I forgot what planet I was on. It's in the same solar system as Alpha Centauri, but it's like a sub. And I found out somebody got murdered in some UPS parcel delivery hustle. I was in this wild quest with this other chick. But anyway, this is where the fun really happened for me because now I'm starting to appreciate picking up crew members that have specific skill sets that help towards my overall stuff. And now I'm like, damn, I gotta build that up. So I built the persuasion up. I built the scavenging, all everything in the social column because I'm trying to get to that last one. Now I don't want to spoil the constellation missions, but just fire. And I'm just savoring. I know I'm right there. I'm just savoring because I just want to have so much fun with everything else. And then I'm going to do it. I am going to do the thing that everybody I know who has done it. But I want to say there's the one that out of the constellation mentioned without spoiling, that shifting one.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about during our review. Yes, bro.
Yo, tell me your thoughts on that shifting one without speaking as vague. Talk to me.
Yeah, no, dude. That was to me. I said that was the best mission Bethesda's ever done,
bro.
Hands fucking down. They have done some really good missions. That was absolutely the best. Entangled. Anyone's looking for the quest name?
Tangled.
You see Entangled.
If you got Entangled. Bro, it took me back for my Titanfall 2 lovers. It's a homage to that, but even done better. And that's one of Titanfall 2's greatest missions. They took that and said, let me show you how to do this. And not only do they that, the choice in consequence at the end, bro, it is crazy. I was able to do something that was pretty cool. And Yeah, as a result, I was able to get something and someone, and it just, oh man.
That quest also has the best weapon I've found so
Oh,
far.
I was using the I said, bro, you gonna have me, you know what I'm dealing with in this place? And he's like,
I had the same thing. I was like, come on, man.
I use manipulation because I did something else. I said, you gonna listen to what I have to say because it's the right way to go, right? yeah. Here, you know what? Here you go. I think this can help. I think yeah, bro. Because it's real on this other side of town. It is real. So that mission, oh my Lord. And then again, without spoiling, as you get more artifacts and things are happening, I'm out here.
Mm.
We know what I mean when I'm doing all that. If you pull up, you ain't right. I could do things. And you don't want to pull up on me. So leave me alone and let me, because not only can I do things, then with certain faction line, I could make you do things without even having me lifting a hand. If your level ain't right. If your level ain't right, word, okay, how about you get out the way and then let me get in there? Yo, I love, bro, it is, but the beauty of it is you have to invest so much. Mm-hmm. You just can't be God mode off the top. But I can't wait because this is going to really influence that new game. Plus, what it is, Manny, me and Soph had this conversation. And I know I should be just beeline. I'm having so much fun. Yeah. Just savoring all this extra content. And then in the city, I found some more cities. I'm having fun with that. It's just cool. And then I spoke to some people, and where I'm at, they like the conversation that you had with Gene Park. Mm-hmm. And you were like, yo, my playthrough ain't, and this ain't. Yeah, I had a couple moments like that. I was like, what? And
apparently the mission we're talking about, I had someone message me, that's missable. I don't know how. I got to replay the story. Yeah, you can miss it. I don't know how, though, but the individual had to reach out. Actually, friend of the show, Brett Medlock, he reached out. He's like, hey, what was the mission? And I told him, like, look up Entangled. He's like, dude, I didn't see this at all. And I beat the game.
Oh, my Lord. Wow.
So I don't know if that was a bug. I hope it wasn't. But, like, wasn't a bug. Yeah. I'm under the current understanding that is a mission that you can miss, which would really suck. Because to me, that was the cherry. Really, the ending is, but that was like a cherry on top for me. I was like, they're fucking cooking right now. Like they hit you with like 5 amazing missions in a row. And I was like, at first, you know what's funny? Yeah. I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, what? And then something happens, I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, what? Dude,
yeah.
So I'm with you, bro. That main story is so good.
And last thing, bro, I had one hilarious immersion mission in space. Did you get the one with the tour guide?
No. Yeah, that's what's weird. I don't know if I'm not. I might be just because I'm questing. So I'm like fast traveling everywhere right now. I got my ship upgrade, so I'm jumping everywhere. I don't know if I'm not. Okay, it still happens. Maybe I'm just not getting lucky. I'm getting hit by bounty hunters a lot, though. That's what's happening.
Oh, because you got that perk that they pull up.
They're finally coming out. They weren't coming out for a while, and then all of a sudden, like every system I jump into, they're like, "Been looking for you for a while." I'm like, "Yo, let's go!" I was like, "Come get some." They made the bounty hunters sound so fucking cool in this game.
Oh, that's dope.
I get a little hyped. I'm like, "Come get some. Let's go."
Go get some. Let's go, bro. I ran into something, and they were like, "Yeah, we here at Circle Line Tours are going around the galaxy. We want to ask a couple questions." And then, like, you could tell the tour person's like, "Now you don't have to ask for all this." Somebody was like, "Yeah, so in the loneliness of space, you know, how do you get through certain situations?" So then you got like, yo, bro, that's too much business. Like, and then, because right now, you know, me and Andrea, so she was like, yeah, I want to know how you going to answer that question. She jumps into the conversation. I was like,
she's evaluating you.
I was like, oh yeah, where we at with this?
So you say whatever she needs to hear. That's the rules, man. I don't make them.
Yeah, then somebody was like, well, you know, now that space is the way it is, you know, I don't think we should have more government involvement. Like, how you feel about that? Bro, it is hilarious. I literally was laughing out loud. That was one. And the last one I'll say, I'm not sure if I told you this last week, but it was a quest and it was a distress call. And I'm like, damn, I'm on my way to doing something that's important. I'm like, all right, you got me. So I go down there, bro. It is a full-on war with spacers taking over a research station. I go into kill all the spaces, clear out outside the station, go into the station to try to find this one person who was leaving the distress call. Bro, everybody is murdered brutally throughout the entire station. You're like, yo, it is hard. They come in, there's level 20s, there's stuff, people that are way higher than you, 30s, like that type of energy. So I'm going through. I start rescuing people, and then like you have this weird thing where one person's a Freestar Collective and another person is a UC, but it's like, yo, we got to work together. You see, we outnumbered. So I did all this. I saved the people. I'm like, all right, cool. Mission over. All right, cool. They're like, no, it's not. Because guess what? They're going to keep bringing reinforcements, and I'm going to need you to go in the air and take out this fleet. Then it turned into a space battle. Bro, this was like a 4-part saga of a mission, and it was super rewarding at the end of it and really cool. And you can use a lot of, depending on what alliances you were, to your advantage. If you were a Freestar Collective or UC, definitely had an advantage on something. If your persuasion or whatever was definitely, but it was very action tight and space battle tight at the same time. Really cool. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. I haven't found that one yet.
It's these are the stories, these are the water cooler moments, right? But I'm curious, you probably got so much going on. What you been?
Let's see here. I finished the UC Vanguard quest line. So good.
Really?
So good, man. There's a twist in there that I thought was really good. And then the way it ends has there's 2 choices you make. And I'm pretty sure one does dramatically, I wouldn't say dramatically, one does impact things you will see on planets, which is awesome. It blows my mind that like I put out a tweet because like PC Gamer was doing their thing and they were like, man, Starfield's a real stumbling step back for RPGs. I'm like, look, I'm not going to sell this game like it's like Baldur's Gate 3 has Todd in his pocket right now, right? Like, you know, it's clear as day, like what's the better RPG in the terms of choice. But to act like Starfield, I see people acting like this game does not have choice. And I'm like,
they're bugging.
At first I was like willing to hear it out with like Fallout 4 and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Because that's true. But now I'm realizing, I'm like, I think it's just people don't play this game.
Damn.
People don't play Bethesda games, but they talk about them a lot. They don't play them because like there's so much choice. So
I know.
Anyway,
you saw Jaffe expose someone for saying they played the name.
Dude, so many people, bro. It's a blessing and curse of Game Pass too. You can dive in, get your little hot take in, move on with your life.
You're right.
But yeah, the UC Vanguard had a great set of choices at the end, and a very, very important character to the world. That I love what they did with it. I really wasn't expecting it, so very cool. I'm up to my ears in the Crimson Fleet quest line right now. Love the double agent approach.
Okay.
Because I've decided how I want to play the game. I always like being a good guy first play.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm like, that's the most risk averse. Not going to miss out on content. Yes. That's when I know I got a good RPG in my hands, because even if the choices are tough, even though I know how I'm playing the game, and you have those moments in this quest line where I'm like, man, I could like kind of do something wild here, but like I know the UC's looking over my shoulder. I was like, that looks really good though. So yeah, the double agent quest line has been good. The storyline itself, I think Vanguard still got it eked out a little, or got the edge on it, but it's still like the way that they're handling it, kind of the tension of the relationships and what both sides are trying to do, and you're quietly working both sides. It's great. It's some really great stuff. So that's what I've been up to. I did. I hit the commitment dialogue choice for our fellow Duke lady Andreja. Duke Army. I'm sorry.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I talk so much smack about this romance in games, but like,
oh yeah, miss, that's right. You shouldn't be in there. Yeah. Hey, he's sexing now. What's up? He's sexing. What's up? Let's go.
No sex was had, man. We really get each other. We just really get each other. You know, she's such a good character, man. I was like, I gotta go all the way. Like, bro, I'll say this in all seriousness.
Let's go.
When you romance there's a conversation that's had with her before, because for those who don't know, there's 2 tiers to romance in Starfield, which I thought was cool. There's like, we're together, let's feel this out. And you can choose to break it off after if you're like, yeah, I ain't feeling this. I'm sorry, like, nah, I'm good.
Go steady phase.
Right.
Okay.
Or you can commit, right? And so there's a conversation that you can have with her before you commit that feels very real, but also for like because a lot of her storyline's based around a particular religion in the game. And her kind of conflict with her religion versus the love she has for you. And I was like, this is legitimately great romance writing. Like, this is what I've been looking for, right? I said that there are times BioWare got it right, then BioWare was like, all right, you can be like, they got a little horny, man. Let's keep it real.
They got horny. They got wild.
Yeah, they got a little wild with it.
We love that too. Okay.
Yeah, and right, we shun Valerian for their bear fucking and Lae'zel throwing it out there on night 1 in the camp. I mean, come on now, man. Like
night 1.
Yeah, come on, night 1 in the camp. I was like, I want to work for this, right? So yeah, there was a steady build up, but also like Andreja is just literally like the best character in Constellation, bro. Like, just phenomenal. And I recommend for people who kind of want to, like, if I were to frame it one way, the way I'm looking at it is speculation. If you want to peek into what I think will be next for Starfield narratively, like expansions or DLC, don't leave that woman behind. Get her full quest line in. I've done some of Barrett's. Or actually, I shouldn't say I've done some of Barrett's. I've done the conversations to set Barrett's up. I have to start that tonight or tomorrow and see what that's all about. Barrett's hilarious, bro. This guy's got always something. He's got something to say constantly
about everything, and he tells you about old situations.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, he's a great character too. Like
very well written.
Again, it's not to circle back and kind of keep re-justifying an old point, but this is why I say, like, when you put more time in, like, as someone who was not crazy about those opening moments, it really does give back to you. It really, your investment feels rewarded twofold. Doesn't get rid of, like for me, my biggest critique is probably beyond like, oh, there's a way to play, but the exploration really isn't there. And I hope that when they do their first DLC expansion thing, like, that is a big target of theirs. Like, let's go back to that. Like, let's focus on a star system and fill it up with stuff. Right. But otherwise, man, I mean, this game really gives back to you as you keep putting hours in. And my quest log I'm 100 hours, still a mile long. It's crazy. I haven't even touched New Game Plus, where I have this idea of like how I want to play that and how I want to approach other quests. It's just again, this is an easy 200-hour package.
Easy, bro. I'm the same way, because I have my vision on exactly how I want to do my New Game Plus. And I still have plans of the way I want to build my character out. So it's just like, I don't want to rush this meal. Like, this they disabled our achievements during the review process.
Yeah, so we gotta. I'm popping some now, and they're like, it's kind of cool. It's retroactively working. Like, I hit level 30 or something like that, and so it popped level 10 and level 30. I was like, okay, cool.
Nice. Cool. Oh, so it retroactive.
Yeah. But I don't think it does for quest lines, because what I've noticed for the factions is they do the first one and then they do the last one.
Yep. And bro, it killed me because I did the entire Ryujin joint, and I was like, damn. So I'm gonna have to do that over on New Game so I can get, the joint. So
kind of exciting though.
It is exciting way, but again, it just sucks for the, that part. That's the gift and the curse of getting that. Not that I went to code side, but there's a salute. But I'm saying, it is the gift and the curse with that. But yeah, great stuff.
We got our warm-up question here. Matt Danger 87 is our write-in, and then we'll get into a lot of news this week. Howdy, Dukes. As content creators, when you cover a game like Starfield for so long, how do you feel when the release date finally arrives? Relief because you were there to see it, perhaps a bit of sadness because although you now have it in hand, the journey of covering it is over. Or maybe you don't think of this at all, and it's just on to the next game in the schedule. I know as a consumer, I can sometimes feel strange knowing I'll never wait for a certain release date again. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's a great write-in here. I thought could get on a little more personal level as a content creator, right? So Kyle, for you, like, when the date hits, right? You work with ILP and stuff. Like, we know that rush to launch. When it hits, is it release then, or is it like, because you guys do guides and stuff, so is it like go even after launch?
It's interesting. It is go, but with this, my history. You sometimes, you get mad at me, addict to get mad at me. I'm very selfless with the way I run LogNet. So a lot of times the big releases, I'm like, nope, it's got to go to the team. They got to get the good coverage. But this was one I was like, I gotta be selfish here. Like this is like literally one of the most anticipated games I've been waiting for. I'm such a Bethesda guy, and I was like, look, I gotta cover it. So for me, the anticipation, before, because you're waiting, you're like, what's it gonna be like? That kind of energy, you know what I mean? And then when you get it, it's a euphoria. It's one of the best feelings because it's like, yo, I am playing something that is highly coveted that people really want my opinion on, and it's such a journey. So it's like, I think to your question, Matt, I think it's like a high. I'm on a high, especially if the game is good. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing's worse than like, damn, like this joint ain't even it, like, kind of thing. But when it's something that is highly anticipated, and then it kind of meets that expectation for you internally and personally, then it's like, yo, let's just ride this wave. And then, you have to be objective though, right? Okay, just because I like it or just because I have access. No, we're going to be critical. We're going to say things that you're going to be like, oh, okay, this needs, work here or what have you. But I think one of the funnest things is being able to talk with an exclusive club a little bit during that period, if there are any issues or questions and stuff like that. And it was fun. It was really fun. So in this case, yeah, it was no, disappointment or sadness at the moment. I was just in it, and I was just in a euphoric state of just going through something, and it matched a lot of my excitement, which is always a good thing, because sometimes these things don't match. You wait for a long time, and you're like, man, this is all right,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Kind of thing, And we did say that in the beginning, in the first couple hours, he's like, oh no.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
scary
I was
opening
like,
hours.
oh, they about to fumble the ball. They about to fumble the bag. Like, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, no, it's coming. It's hitting. And it was it was a beautiful thing. So, yeah, that was my experience. What about you during this whole, as a content creator? Like, how do you probably, especially with you, because you review so many games.
Yeah, there's been so many coming out that I've had to drop a few. I was late to my request on Lies of P. That actually falls completely to me. Just I got lost in my Starfield coverage, and I was not really ready to move on to the next thing. I think I'll have thoughts on that next week because I'm going to get a code, but like reviews are already out for that game. Mortal Kombat 1 was the big one I was really trying to go for, and like that's kind of the sucky part about all these games coming out is like I make this calculated risk. Like, okay, if my next review is going to be anything, I want to do MK1. Like I have a lot invested in that one. So let's see how it is. And I couldn't get a code for it. So it's changing a little bit with how these releases are becoming more rapid, especially balancing Retro Rebound, where we try to cover more like Nintendo and JRPGs over there. So it's a lot where there are times that like the date comes and goes. And the reason it feels that way is just because for me, the date that's in my head more is a creator's embargo date. Like it's, when am I posting my content? Like that's the date I think about. And there's a feeling of, I feel at first a little sad because like when a game comes out, like there are moments that like I'm very lucky to do what I do, but there is that sometimes you miss that feeling of like, waiting for release day and like, it's finally here and you're playing alongside everyone. Like most of my games are played in isolation, just me, my thoughts, and kind of figuring it out on my own, which is a very exciting venture into its own right. Like that's why Starfield was kind of special, because it was like at first, oh God, what is this? But then as you find out more and more secrets, you realize just how much is hidden in the game. And it was like that and Elden Ring were kind of special experiences where you're just like finding things, knowing you're like one of the first maybe 1,000 people to find a thing is cool. But there is that sadness of like, my experience is done and everyone's just getting started. So you like, that's where I think the product of the go internet comes from, because you'll see people posting Starfield spoiler cast like the week of release, and most dudes are like, yo, I just fucking got the game. What are you doing, bro?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I get it, because like right now, many of us are ready to have that conversation, and the game's done and quest lines are done. Like, okay, let's do it. And the reality is most people are just getting their adventure started. Maybe they're 20 hours in or something like that. So at times, it's a little bit of sadness because you're in like a completely different ballpark from the typical consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think remembering that is important when covering stuff, so you don't get too. I think some people get a little on their high horse when they get their review codes, and it's a little weird, man. It's a little weird because that the power that giveth and taketh can remove all your ego in a moment. And then otherwise for Starfield, is there relief that you were there to see it? Maybe for Bethesda games, yeah. There are a few games that I can put on a list and be like, that moment of like, I'm happy I was there for that one, right? Obviously you're happy to see them all, right? We always talk about health as wealth, but like there is that feeling of like a Starfield. It's like I think about when I first covered it, and anything can happen any day, right? Any week, and it's like to start the coverage with a trademark and see it all the way grow to this. And, granted, I'm not working on the game, but like there's that feeling of like watching it become something, and it's cool. It's awesome. So there is kind of that feeling too. It's a little melancholic almost.
Yeah,
is how I would define it.
I'd agree.
Yeah. Otherwise, Cog, anything you want to add on, or shall we begin with the full lineup of news? Very busy week here.
Let's begin with the news.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. Take your time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, why don't we read the news as per usual? Phil Spencer confirms, and by the way, if you are an audio listener, I might just say you might want to make a transition. Phil Spencer confirms Starfield reached 1 million concurrent players across all platforms on launch day, with Bethesda confirming 6 million players so far, making it Bethesda's biggest launch game of all time. Furthermore, Starfield overtakes Skyrim's all-time player concurrent record on Steam in just its opening weekend. If that wasn't enough, Starfield is number 1 in the UK box charts. According to GamesIndustry.biz, Christopher Dring, it's still behind the likes of Hogleg, Zelda, Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4, Final Fantasy XVI, and Dead Island 2, but it's almost identical to Diablo 4. And he claims this is significant because Diablo 4 was a major digital hit. And the fact that Starfield is on the 2 most digital platforms alongside Game Pass in the mix, having, like I said, 6 million concurrent players, plus being the number 1 box game in the UK, means that this could very well be the biggest game launch of the year. Who do we have here to celebrate with us?
So what's going on? I'm hearing things. What's going on? What's happening? Cue me in. What was those numbers? What's going on with Starfield?
We have Starfield reaching 1 million concurrent across all platforms with 6 million players on launch day itself. One of the biggest launches of the year, if not the biggest.
Oh, wow.
And Starfield is number 1 in the UK box charts. Cog,
that's your thoughts? I mean, it's just crazy because, like, I remember Mr. Matty Plays. Two of the Dukes came out. We had our little Starfield shirts about a year ago. People were clipping us like, these dudes don't even know what it is. I don't know why they even excited, right? I remember us getting clipped and all type of weird energy, but we got to go to the numbers, man. Let's pull out the numbers. Let's see what's going on out here with the numbers. Because a lot of these dudes, they care about the numbers. So now let's talk about it. So my thing is, I guess my question for you, Mr. Matty Plays, is like, do you remember like what the early access numbers were for the people who paid like the paid version? Do we remember? Do we have that? If not, I can help you.
So please help me out.
So pretty much they had surpassed 2 million. This is the $100, right? The one that you paid for the physical edition, and they passed over 2 million over 1 million on Xbox and 1 million on Steam. Again, early access, people who really wanted to buy the game, which I thought was mighty impressive, right? So then, as we fast forward, what I thought was really impressive, obviously what you said, 6 million strong on launch day, right? And again, despite the fun on Twitter, despite people going out their way instead of celebrating a milestone, and suiting up and having fun for this moment of just Bethesda being great, we saw 6 million. But guess what, man? This is the part that really, as the cops go by, because the cops excited too. This is the part right here. So you know me, I'm all about the engagement, checking things out, seeing what's going on. And I don't know if you've checked, But have you checked Xbox most played game? Have you checked? As of right now,
I haven't,
you can,
sir.
let me
What have
send
you
you a link.
found
Let me
there?
send you a link. Let me send you a link so you can
Okay.
see what's going on out here because it's crazy. I just like to talk about what's going on. So did you check that out when you get a chance?
Let's see here.
You know, and while we doing this, I'll be
Oh my!
while we doing this. That's the theme song of the day, y'all. We got you to shout out to Eon Zer. That's my man Enon. What's how you pronounce his name? Enon Zer.
Oh, I know Zer. Yeah.
We dedicating this to. Could you tell me what the top 3 most played games on Xbox is?
Fortnite,
Wow.
Starfield.
Wait, hold on.
Call of Duty.
Fortnite. That is a free-to-play battle royale, right? Free-to-play battle royale game, one of the most popular games that changed the games industry and introduced crossplay. Can you please tell me what number 2 is?
Starfield.
Wow. Are you meaning to tell me a single-player game? No microtransactions? Wow, that's crazy. And what's number 3?
Call of Duty is number 3, Cog.
Literally the game of the generation that is causing all types of chaos in the Activision Blizzard King whole acquisition situation, which is defined as the game that can change the whole power structure. Are you meaning to tell me little old Starfield is between those 2 games?
It would seem that way.
That would be crazy. 2. Now remember, y'all said that y'all wanted messy. Y'all said y'all wanted messy. I'm giving y'all the messy. Listen, all jokes aside, all the Metacritic stuff and all that, this game might not be for everybody. And I respect that. But this is for the people who created the FUD, who was clowning us for even being excited for a new Todd Howard game. And this is what we talk about because we were there for the Morrowinds, the Elder, the Oblivions, the Skyrims, the Fallouts. These are the moments we talk about, the zeitgeist, where we respect God Howard's name, because they don't care about Twitter and your little your little echo chamber that you talking about. Men lie, women lie, the numbers don't lie. The people have decided. They went out. They went out and copped. They part of the constellation. They all suited up like me. We taking off, baby. We taking off. We having fun with this. So again, just having fun. Shout out to my man Enon. We had to give, all jokes aside, salute to the team. Salute to the team. This game was under tremendous pressure. This is not only for Xbox, for Bethesda. I'm so proud of them. And my main message of why I'm doing this, obviously I'm going to talk my talk because people are talking slick to us. Mm-hmm. But the main reason why I do this is we got to celebrate moments. It doesn't matter what platform. If Spider-Man does well, if Elden Ring I had to celebrate how impressive that is. We got to celebrate these moments. This is huge, and I'm very, very proud of the team. So, I just wanted to come in a celebratory mood. I wanted to suit up, part of Constellation today, and, have some fun. So, salute to y'all. Y'all say y'all wanted messy, I gave it to y'all.
There's a man of his word right there.
Y'all get this.
Man, I don't know if I can follow that up with anything else.
Yo, this jacket is fire, bro. I'm telling you,
that nice.
I can't wait for it to be cold, bro. I can't wait, bro. This joint is.
You got me wanting to get the Frontier jacket that they sent us.
That's nice too. That's nice too. But your thoughts? I'm very curious. Now that you got a chance to kind of, all jokes aside, now you got a chance to kind of process. Like, do you look at this as success? Do you like, hey, Cog, chill, it's cool, but like, where are you at with this?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy. I feel like so here's how I look at it, right? Like every podcast has roles, and I love that you're very well spoken, you're very respectful. So I feel like sometimes I push through and I gotta be the asshole of the two of us, right? So I love when you take your opportunity to talk your talk because I think it's well timed and people resonate with it more than anything I do, right? Because the reality is just to back you up a little bit here is that this is no fanboy conundrum. I remember us being legitimately, authentically excited. And look, man, we've gone through it all together, right? The astroturfing claims, the talking points, just like some of the most
part of the script, page 52.
Blatant announcements of like, oh, I don't know how this works type of shit I've seen. And COG's absolutely allowed to come out like this and do this, man, because look, we sit there and I think we conduct ourselves, I may curse a lot, but I think we conduct ourselves professionally enough where we take a lot on the chin and we have an open, honest conversation like at the top of the show with our audience, where if y'all got something to say, we will never hide from it. We never do. But a lot of people were telling us for over years and years, like, this is a failure. This ain't the game of the generation you think it is. And why we, to add on to the conversation, why we spent so long talking about the reviews and the negative conversation surrounding the game is a lot of people were surprised that a game that had to be game of the generation, it was no doubt Xbox's biggest exclusive of the generation, that it could get a 7. Meanwhile, stuff like Breath of the Wild, when it got a 7, people lost their minds, right? It's kind of the same energy here. And seeing this type of success, and actually I had learned, remember how I'd been touting this 12.5 million number in the opening weekend for Fallout 4? I've learned I was incorrect on that. Ooh. What I actually learned is those were shipped copies. And so Starfield has beat out Fallout 4.
Wow.
We already know it beat out Skyrim, but Starfield beating out Fallout 4, think many people will not be able to transport themselves back to this time. But for those who can, many who have been watching me for a while, transport yourselves back to that moment, June 2015, Bethesda's first E3 conference. The impossible has happened. Fallout 4 is real. A culmination of hype, anticipation, and excitement, just all right there in one. And they ride this thing in the line. People think this is the time. Oh, we'll see you in a year or two, Todd. They're like, no, see you in 5 months. This shit's ready to go. They had Fallout Shelter, every trick in the book. They fucking took so much money from me by all the merch they sold, every goddamn trick in the book, and Starfield beat it.
Bro.
That's crazy. And I know people are going to say one thing.
Go ahead.
And I get it at first. Maddie, one game sold. One game is player count. Look, I'm not making excuses for Xbox, but what I'm going to say is what we've always said. These are the metrics that they have evaluated success on before Starfield. This is if you missed the Hi-Fi Rush conversation at the top of the year, we were singing the same tune as we're singing now. The goal with Starfield has been, from Phil Spencer's own mouth, to make it the most played Bethesda game ever. So it has to crawl its way over the course of a decade.
I got you though, bro.
To where Skyrim is, to 70 million, which at this current starting point, and with the promise of what we'll talk about next, years and years of support, I think Starfield can actually overtake Skyrim. I genuinely think it will, which would be even more impressive because remember, Fallout 4, multi-plat. Starfield, exclusive.
Good point. And I just sent you something too that really impressed me that I forgot to mention during my little diatribe. Is that I
love how the hood's still up.
I'm just so I'm suited up right now. I'm in constellation. I'm in the stars right now. I'm in such a euphoric state right now. So it's like the thing that Starfield's launch spikes Series X and S console sales in the UK by a whopping 76%. Now we know how bad they kind of was doing in the UK, and to get console great and attachment for the demand for this game, this is a console seller. That is huge, especially in that region. So again, from when I was out there in PAX West, the thing that was told to me internally is like, they already had aggressive targets. Already, they had surpassed a lot of their internal targets. And this even got people to buy Little Black Man, the little series that's with the black joint. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, this is a moment, man. And again, what I really wanted to show is just like, first, don't let anyone take your joy, regardless of a score or anything like that. But two, remember, this is the real world now. We got people that's a lot of bad actors. I remember people saying to us, Maddie, we shouldn't even trust Bethesda anymore because of 76, even though that wasn't taught in 18. You know what I'm saying? But I remember all the verbiage about why we shouldn't be excited. And it's just so cool to be rewarded because, again, we're not going to say that this game is for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. But the people have spoken. the masses have spoken, and people are excited to play this game, try this game, and have fun. And I just think we got to get back to celebrating moments like this, because these are huge moments, and especially for Xbox, which was a much needed moment. So I'm done. I'm doing my messiness.
No, it goes back to when your game can rise above what you see in the zeitgeist on Twitter and YouTube and find extreme success like that. The reality is what we have to say, what anyone on Twitter, what the following has to say, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
this game is a smash hit in terms of success, and it's bringing tons of people into Game Pass. And I want Phil to take his L. I want him to take his fucking L on one front, which is he said that if Starfield's an 11 out of 10, it's not going to turn things around. That it's not going to push consoles. And I think he was parroting a little bit of the FTC talking points. I think he was playing a bit weak on his back there to kind of like, look, because if he's like, I actually think that would turn us around because it's an exclusive and it's a big fucking deal. No doubt he had the metrics at that point of like what to anticipate. And maybe they think that would have impacted like, so if you made Call of Duty exclusive, that might swing things in your favor is what you're saying then, right? So I think he had to play weak there, but this proves the 77% sales increase or 76% increase of console sales in the UK shows that people, if Xbox is willing to provide, people are going to buy their console. And I don't know if they were, again, I think they were parroting FTC talking points, but if they forgot, I hope this is a stern reminder, because this is what your exclusives can do for you. And this shouldn't be a surprise. Look at the 360 generation. Like, people are happy to buy your games. Just provide great quality experiences. And that's what it shows you. And I think he even recognized it, because when he came out during the Xbox conference, he mentioned that conversation. He was like, hey, may have been a little emotional. He knows great games are important to the platform. And I just think it was one of the things, just the way it was, it could be misinterpreted, which is when, I kind of went at him at time. And he was like, I respect the Cog that you really spoke your truth and, whatever. And that's what it's about. And it's just good to see. And hopefully, like I said, with the year that they're having and moving forward, it starts a chain reaction of good games. And it's good to see. That's all I'm going to say. Last thing I'll throw in there is, as someone who's covered them since Skyrim, where they were on a high, and then Fallout 4 was a high and then a low, and then 76 was a colossal low. I understand that there was fear of, look at this man adjusting his nice jacket here. I understand there was a fear that Bethesda had lost themselves, but this goes back to what I said at square one, which is that there was no doubt in my mind that Microsoft, or really Xbox and Bethesda Game Studios, were going to be a perfect match, and it was going to bring Bethesda back to where we wanted them to be. And I think it's done just that. When you look at the level of polish that's in Starfield, and when they were originally, oh boy, could I get messy with how I was publicly dragged by multiple people about the original launch date, and how Todd, Phil have come out and said it was supposed to come out earlier. We delayed it multiple times. Certain games journalists certainly had no problem trying to fucking stroke their dick and be like, yeah, bro, sorry, nope, that was never happened.
Talk your talk, man. It's your time. It's our time. It's the Duke's time.
Because this is the thing, man. It's to me, it's fucking disgraceful, because it just shows, on a completely separate note, how much of like a product of nepotism this industry is, and that if they want to shut someone down and make them look foolish, they can by sheer will. And it's frustrating, because I had to deal with all that shit until finally a couple comments came out proving otherwise. But point being, to what I was really getting at, which is Phil and the team seem to really believe in what Bethesda can do here, and they put their money where their mouth is. And while we can debate all day the quality of the game, they're looking at who's playing and how many are playing. And the fact that in this partnership, they have found their biggest game yet. That's all they could have hoped for and more. And the fact that they're beating those early aggressive metrics, right? Same thing happened with Hi-Fi Rush, by the way. Aaron Greenberg came out and said, every metric we measure the game's success by, which would include sales, by the way, has been a rousing success. And the reason I got to back Cog up in his behavior here is because this goes to sales too. I know y'all are going to hit us with it. Player count, bro, player count. Look, we'll see the official metrics. This game's selling well, though.
Oh, for sure.
It's selling well. It's selling extremely well. So it's a success across the board.
Yeah.
The fact that they've already committed to years of support says all that needs to be said. But people aren't ready for that conversation, I don't think.
Apparently.
Let's get into that update, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Starfield's first major update is here in a post on Bethesda Net. Here is what they write. First, an enormous thank you to all of you playing Starfield and your support. We are absolutely blown away by the response and all you love about the game. We're also reading all your great feedback on what you'd like to see improved or added to the game. This is a game we'll be supporting for years and years to come, so please keep all the feedback coming. Even if we don't get to your requests immediately, we'd love to do it in the future, like city maps. Our priority initially is making sure any top blocker bugs or stability issues are addressed and adding quality of life features that many are asking for. The first update is a small hot fix targeted at a few top issues we are seeing. After that, expect a regular interval of updates that have top community requested features, including brightness and contrast controls, HDR calibration menu, FOV slider, NVIDIA DLSS support, 32:9, oh thank God, right? 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, and an eat button for food. We're also working closely with NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel on driver support, and each update will include new stability and performance improvements. Additionally, we are working on our built-in mod support creations that will work across all platforms, similar to what we've done with Skyrim and Fallout 4. This full support is planned to launch early next year. Until then, we know our PC community is already very active in the modding space, which is true. There's already thousands and thousands of them. And if you have any feedback on how we can make this better, please let us know. Modding and creating in our games will always be a vital and important part of who we are, and we love seeing the community get off to such a strong start. Keep the feedback coming. We really do read it all. Thank you again for taking this journey with us, Bethesda Game Studios. And then some updates here on the hotfix, what's included. So for Series X, they said that they've improved stability related to installations, and that various stability and performance improvements to reduce crashes and improve frame rate have been added to the game. And then 3 quests have received fixes, which are tied to the main storyline. All that money can buy. They fixed an issue where player activity could result in a quest blocker, which I believe Ebontis bumped into, by the way.
Yeah, poor Ebontis. Oh, man. He's
yeah, I know. I felt bad because I was like, the story's good, bro. Yeah. We're bad. Into the Unknown fixed an issue that could prevent the quest from appearing after the game is completed. And Shadows of Neon fixed an issue where player activity could result in a quest blocker. So they're tackling the main meat of the game first, with the plan to add a bunch of features afterwards. And they're supporting the game for years and years. And they are going to get around to city maps, which was a big critique of the game that I saw was bubbling up on Reddit. So, Cog, what do you make of this commitment? What do you make of the features that they're adding? And as well as modding coming in early 2024 for console users?
That was surprising to me because we know that this game is going to have a second life when the modding community gets
third, fourth, and fifth.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. So to get, and again, this is something, fairly still new to the console space. This is generally a PC thing. So to have console guys be able to get a part of this is going to be crazy. Again, which fuels one of the biggest game launches. I love the technical stuff. I'm an FOV slider guy. I'm an HDR guy. DLSS is a huge thing for the PC community. Shout out to Jimmy Champagne. We were talking about a lot of this stuff, during that time. And, again, my widescreen support monitors, guys out here that got nice rigs, nice setups, and they're not being able to see this thing, the right way. So I love this overall commitment. I love this continued bug fixes, improvement. And yeah, I got to actually play since the patch came out, because I think the patch dropped yesterday night or today. I forgot when it dropped, but I must have missed it. So I want to see the initial stability improvements. But I love this. This is what we need to see. We don't need to hear. This is a great sign that they're going to be committed. And yeah, we're not stopping with Starfield. We're going to get a lot of support. That's great to see.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that because I talked about this in my video, so I apologize for anyone who watches my content if I sound a little redundant here, but I found Fallout 4 to be a really big missed opportunity for Bethesda Game Studios. I think the reason they moved on quick was because of the necessity of Fallout 76. They viewed it as like their cash cow, and obviously we know what position ZeniMax was in with their failing live service games, that they were looking for some big kind of win financially. And so I think they moved from Fallout 4 quicker than they should have, because Fallout 4 was an extremely successful game as well. Felt like the sky was the limit, similar to how Starfield launched. Like, yeah, there are problems, but man, like they could address them, and they did Far Harbor, and it felt like the first big answer. Like again, that's one of the best DLC that I think Bethesda's ever done, and it had tons of choice and consequence, great atmosphere. Just felt like they read all the feedback and said, "Oh, you don't think we can do choices? Okay, watch this." And so they dropped that. They did Nuka World because they saw everyone going, "Oh, you can't be evil in this game." They're like, "Okay, what if you were a raider and you killed the settlers? Watch this." And they did that, and everyone was like, "Okay, what's next?" And they're like, "No, that's it. We're done." And so they dropped total of 6 DLCs. 4 of them were workshop focused, and it just never sat right with me. I'm like, dude, Fallout 4, I know originally 76, what it ended up being is a full game, but it was supposed to be a co-op expansion for Fallout 4. That was what the original goal was.
Wow.
And I just feel like, again, that the sky was the limit for that game. They could have done so much more. Obviously, they chased the bag. We know how that played out. I'm happy to see that with Starfield not being a perfect game, not being the 10 out of 10, but being an amazing game.
Yes.
That Bethesda isn't, one, resting on their laurels of their modding community, which they can say that they're blue in the face. They haven't, but I think they have confidently been like, look, the majority of our community's got it covered over here. They haven't pointed and said, go over there and get your fix. But, let's keep it real. Like they have community bug fixes that are made for each Bethesda game. And those have legacy bugs that have carried over from Bethesda game to Bethesda game, and they've just refused to fix them. So it felt like with Starfield, not only is this righting a wrong in my eyes, but also I feel like it's finally them listening to feedback, really absorbing it. I will say this. Hey, clip this one, AstroTurfers. Get ready for this. Bethesda reached out to me, and they're like, hey, Maddie, we appreciate your even takes on the game. Is there anything feedback-wise that you would want us to relay to the development team? Is there anything you would want to see improved in the game? This has never happened with them before, right? As I mentioned, I've not really been in communication with them for a while, but they were like, hey, what do you think in particular is wrong with the game? Like, they were inviting in all that criticism. So I sent them a Lord Cognito size letter.
That's what you got to do.
Like, I talked to them. I was like, yo, you got to figure out these planets. I said, the game's exploration is not there. And I'm not saying that all 1,000 planets or whatever, how many the exact number is, have to have stuff on them, but you cannot be leaning on procedural because it kills the flow. It just kills it. There's too much good stuff tied to quests. So to find like, oh, I found Londinian. Sorry, what do the UC comes up? What are you doing here? Get out of this system. And so you got to jump somewhere else until you get there in a quest line, right? It's like, man, like I wish I could explore that. I telling them, I was like, you guys got to fix exploration. Like if it's a procedural pack where you just add more emergent content or it's like handcrafted stuff, I said, you got to figure that out. I talked to them about the missing PC features and so on and so forth.
Nice.
But like this is the energy they got right now. They feel, you could tell by how they handed us the review codes and whatnot compared to Redfall, that this was a very confident form of Bethesda. And I think they're very pleased with where they're at, where they're just like, bring on the feedback. Let's bring it in. Like we're supporting this thing for years. Like, let's keep this going. Some people were very critical of them launching without an FOV slider, which I agree in 2023, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Here's my theory on that. It's not to defend them, but I think it's a legit fair theory. One thing that we've learned is a big focus for Starfield was stable frame rate, right? And I think that was only doubled down upon after Redfall. They were like, yo, we got to just rock solid. Don't let them think about it. We've learned through reports with Digital Foundry that Starfield could actually have ran at 40 to 60 FPS on Series X consoles, which is awesome to see for a game of its size. And my feeling is they locked it at 30 because they were like, okay, is it going to move from there? And truth be told, I've done my whole playthrough on Series X and no, it's moved twice for me when I've been landing on planets. I have over 100 hours in the game, right? So not a bad ratio there. And I think if you add the FOV slider in, when you don't know everything you want to know about your performance, especially on PC where it's unpredictable, you take in more visuals, right? There's more happening on screen and you can bog down that performance, especially when you don't got a certain better upscaler in your game at launch. You may know the modding community is going to be there. You may want to dial things back a little bit. So that's my theory. Does that make it excusable or okay? No, but I think understanding is half the battle. And so with that, I'm very excited about what they're bringing to the table for this game. And then the mod support, I know they said come in 2024. I thought it'd be later.
Me too.
This is This is great, man.
Great.
Especially because with next gen modding, my biggest bit of excitement is how much memory they're going to allow modders to use. Because I think with Xbox One, I think it was 2 gigs, and that limited the amount of mods that you could bring to the table. Right? I think you could install that many, and some mods are like beyond 2 gigs. But what it allows people to bring like weapon packs over to Xbox One, visual overhauls, but you had a limit, right? And now if they can increase that limit by a lot, console modders will be able to get a taste of what PC fans have been enjoying for a while. If I'm Bethesda, if I'm Xbox, you do everything you can to make this the most close to PC modding experience that you can have, because this is going to be people's first time modding in a video game, given it's Bethesda's biggest game. And I hope with that, I said this in my video, they don't disable achievements when you start to mod your game, because there are already mods to re-enable them. So just don't bother. Many people are going to, especially New Game Plus, you're going to be running that same character a lot in Starfield, right? No one wants to start over. We'll start over with the New Game Plus, but no one wants to actually go level 1. Let's do this, right? We don't want that. So yeah, dude, I'm very excited for the future of this game, because the game's already great in my eyes, and the fact that they're very much like, we're here for years. Bring the feedback on. And they have every main community complaint I've seen addressed here shows they are reading and listening right now. And so it has me very excited, sir. I'm very much looking forward to what they bring to the table.
Absolutely. I'm on the same type of time. Love it.
With that, Cog, we get into number 3. The full Xbox Game Pass core list is here, and it touts 36 games. By the time you're hearing this, your Xbox Live Gold membership will have been transferred over to Game Pass Core. Here is the final list. Among Us, Astroneer, Celeste, Dead Cells, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal Standard Edition, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Firewatch, Forza Horizon 4 Standard Edition, Gang Beasts. You ain't getting that Forza Horizon 5, y'all. Sorry.
Calm down.
Gears 5 Game of the Year Edition, Golf with Your Friends, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Limbo, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Overcooked 2, Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition, Power Wash Simulator, Psychonauts 2, Slay the Spire, Spiritfarer Farewell Edition, Stardew Valley, State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition, Superliminal, The Elder Scrolls Online, TMNT Shredder's Revenge, Unpacking, and Vampire Survivors. We got it right in here from Odd Apps.
That's good.
By Defined Dukes, the full list of Xbox Game Pass core games have been announced. There are 36 in total, and it appears to be a blend of first-party and third-party offerings. How do we feel about the list and the service now that we have more details? Will Game Pass Core muddy the waters when it comes to Game Pass subscriber numbers? Unless Microsoft gives us granular numbers on each tier, are we not going to be wondering where the growth actually is? Have a health is wealth after the wedding I'm going to this weekend. Kind of day. Odd Apps, you enjoy that wedding, my friend. So, Cog, Game Pass Core. Some of our requests have made the list. Grounded being one of them. Good pick. What do you make of what's here, sir? Is this enough to keep you in the core library? Or are you going to look at this and say, I'm just going to spend the extra $5 and upgrade?
I mean, I gotta be real, man. I think this is tremendous. I didn't think they were giving all this. I mean, you've got pretty much such a good, varied genre, so many genres, and so many really good games. And in the cut joints, Celeste, Among Us, the parties, Doom, you got your FPS, you got Fallout 4 in there, 76. Firewatch is highly underrated. Obviously, you're not going to get Forza Horizon 5, but you got 4.
Doing a little too well.
A little too well for you to be getting that for free. You know what I'm saying? Gears 5 game of the year, Halo 5. You jump and you get Hellblade. Inside of Limbo are fun. Inside Limbo and Ori alone, those 3 is insane. That's insane. Overcooked 2, great party game. Power Wash Simulator, we know the addiction and craziness with that.
That's kind of new too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's new, yeah. State of Decay lives on and want that to go. Spiritfarer, I'm hearing great things. Elder Scroll Online, you got an MMO right off the rip, a quality one. You already know TMNT. Bro, this is this blows anything gold was talking about. Like, this is the
Yeah.
gold guy. The gold guy is now this guy. And this to me is tremendous. So I think this is way better value than I anticipated. And that I could see some guys just chilling in this spot just because they got this and the online play. You know what I mean? Kind of thing for a while. And to Otap's question, yeah, I would love to know the breakdown once growth happens. Is it because there's more core users, or is it more ultimate guys, right? What
Yeah.
drove? I wish we get that information because we can then target where the growth is. But ultimately, I guess what I care about the most, even though I want those in-depth statistics, is the growth period, and is, how are they doing as a result of now this service? I mean, core in there. So I thought it was phenomenal. I was really impressed. And, say what we want about Vampires Survivors. I know.
It just really twists me up something fierce because my head canon is that Phil was in the room.
Phil's like, yo, you got to throw this in.
He's like, we got to get this to everybody. Has to play this game on any level of Game Pass. It has to be there, right? Like, that's what I imagine. And he thinks of me, and he's like, okay, well, I can't let Matt run away with this, so I'm going to give him TMNT. And I don't like that I'm in this bind, Phil. Not a fan of it, man.
Got your TMNT. I can't tell, bro. I got my inside and my limbo, bro. I am good. Yeah. There's so many good games here.
Yeah, I do like this list a lot. To me, the big standout, like addition by subtraction, would actually be Forza Horizon 4.
Yes.
That's just that's disrespectful, man.
Yeah, look,
no one should be playing Horizon 4 in the year 2023. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. Especially when you got Gears 5, you got Halo Wars 2,
F5 is out here,
Psychonauts 2. There's like enough new stuff here where it's just like, get out the way.
You're going to get that old mixtape.
It would be wild disrespectful if Redfall was in this list.
Oh, that would be crazy. Yeah, I didn't even think about
play. We need play. Engagement. Anyway, that's your list of Game Pass core games. Not looking too bad. And with that, we move on to our final bit of news, Cog. Quick one in the terms of a quote, but so much to discuss, in my opinion. Todd Howard, when speaking about an Indiana Jones reveal, said this in an interview, quote, "We'll talk next year," end quote. Well. What have we here? I'm very excited about this because, as I've said, I want to know what Machine Games is up to. And I think this kind of firms up, Cog, that while we were slowly starting to say it makes more and more sense to go in the direction of Indiana Jones, that we're probably not seeing another Wolfenstein for some time, unfortunately. So for the fans out there, I apologize. But getting Indiana Jones, bro. And next year we're getting a reveal, it seems, of some kind. I mean, we already talked about how this year's showcase had to be a slam dunk, and it absolutely was. I think it was the best one Xbox has put on personally. Looking into 2024, it feels like the table's already being set with the Activision acquisition, Indiana Jones. You just see stuff getting there where it's like updates on Fable, updates on Avowed. Like, we're already setting the table for either an amazing developer direct or an amazing showcase in the summer. I feel like, again, I feel like 2024 is going to be arguably a better year for Xbox fans than it was this year. Yeah. And I'm just very excited to see the next Machine Games title come out, or not come out, sorry, but be revealed. I think you throw it in that bag. I think they're probably going to reveal next year what they're working on next, which is rumored to be a Quake reboot. Like, Bethesda, man, like if you look at this year and next year, if that's what ends up being the reveals and delivery, when you look at what's come out, Redfall aside, you got some really good shit from them. What do you make of a Indiana Jones reveal next year, Cog?
Yeah, that was surprising. I mean, he's like, yeah, we're ready to talk. Okay, well, you ready to show? You ready? Like, okay, and it makes sense. We as far as development, we feel that it's probably been enough time now where they're definitely ready. So, I'm dying to know how Machine Games approaches this. Like, that's my curiosity. Big IP, but at the same time, we know them for that tight, FPS play, and then how are they going to approach this? With a cinematic flair or not? It's so many questions, but I have confidence, especially because I know Todd's affinity for this franchise, right?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
It's almost like Bethesda's making it as opposed to machine game because his hands is all
Bro,
over
the
this. Like
fact that this man is involved on like a production level on this game, even though he works at a whole ass different company, shows how much he loves indie, which is very exciting, bro.
Yeah,
very exciting.
I'm expecting big things, and like you said, you could make the argument, and this is what's exciting right now. I have my phone with Starfield, and stuff, but the reality is they've had a solid year, right? We expect Forza to at least be solid. We hope, right? So you got that, you have this, you have Hi-Fi Rush, you have Age of Empires, you have Minecraft, obviously you have Redfall, but overall as a year, 2023, you're like, wow, that was strong. They're back. But you look at 2024, right? Like you said, Activision deal could close by, the effects of it closing. Then
clock is ticking on that one.
It is ticking. We get close. Like, bro,
I thought it was gonna be done by now.
Yeah, September. Like we get in October. What's good, CMA? You playing games? What you doing? But you got that. But if we anticipate it to close, then the effects of that will be early, next year. Then we got Hellblade. We got Avowed, right? You would assume. Then you figure, now. Indie potentially sneaks in. We got to see what's going on with Stalker. Then it's more, Xbox game publishing. There's a lot that could really fall together for them that could make 2024, just like you said, an even better year. So it's exciting. And, Todd's talking about this. I didn't expect him to say this. So they're ready. They're ready to show. They're ready. That's dope.
Yeah. From like an Xbox fan perspective, if you put it into frame with like what they're lining up in the pipeline, you hear about this reveal, you think about Activision Blizzard, and then if we were to really get carried away with our speculation becoming reality, if they really deliver with this Square Enix partnership, plus we know Atlas, they're delivering
TGS, yeah,
right. It's just like, dude, that's they're righting all the wrongs. They're not going to be perfect, but they're going to be in a really good spot with their fans if they continue to deliver like this. So I'm just very excited to see what's happening next for indie.
Even if you look at the current Game Pass lineup coming up, it's impressive stuff. Lies of P, this, that. Like,
Lies of P's getting really good reviews.
I'm hearing good things, really good things behind the scene. That's Game Pass day one, right? It's starting to get going. And if they get into that cadence, this is a real positive sign.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Game Pass, let's get into our Game Pass pick of the week as the news is wrapped up here. This one's a fun throwback because when we first started defining Duke and we introduced the Game Pass pick of the week as one of the segments when I first was penning the show, this was one of my first picks. And it's off the service. And now it's back and it's a part of Core and it's the farewell edition for Spiritfarer. So Spiritfarer is a very somber game is how I would define it. You have a boat. And it's a management style game. Like you're going to be building parts of the boat and collecting resources. But the idea is you are helping spirits pass into the afterlife. And it kind of sounds a bit cog like you described. Like this is the game I was thinking of when you described to me Ghostwire Tokyo and the interaction with the dead and kind of like helping them move on or like they're stuck here or something like that. Spiritfarer is a bit like that too. Very indie take on it, very artsy take on it. And when you combine it with the music, this art style just
it looks beautiful. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it is a really good game. Like I said, it's a little somber, but the management elements are really fun. It's a game that I think a lot of people need to experience. It's one of those indie gems that I know it's reviewed well. I know it gets a lot of play. I know it was successful, but it's one of those ones you feel for where you're like, I feel like no one's talking about this enough, right? And I just think a lot of people, if they got the time, I know Starfield, a little busy. If you got the time for a little indie game to put on the shelf and pick up whenever you want, something a little more management focused, Spiritfarer is a really, really good time. It's a memorable time at that. And like I said, a little bit of defining Duke nostalgia for this one. I wanted to kind of circle back around to with the farewell edition being added to the service, as it's not one you should overlook. It's a really special game.
That's dope. Yeah, it looks beautiful. I'm looking at it right now. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah. So please check that one out. Game Pass pick of the week, Spiritfarer Farewell Edition.
No doubt.
Now, Cog, we got one more question and we're out of here. Zach Dalton writes in, "Hey, Ducks." I don't know if this is a typo or not, but I'm going to allow it. Starfield is out and doing well overall. Let's look to the future. Do you think we'll ever get a Starfield 2? Elder Scrolls 6 is probably 26 to 27 the earliest. Then there's possibly Fallout 5 by what? 2030? Do we get Starfield 2 before 2035? Do you think that's too long of a wait? If so, how do you see Bethesda Game Studios' release schedule going into the future? It's the big question, man. Because think about it. Look, this is going to be tough talk for both of us because we're both big fans of the series they own.
Let's go.
Fallout and Elder Scrolls. By all intents and purposes, right now, Starfield would be the biggest man in the room.
Facts. I was just about to say that.
Or it's setting up to do that, right? You see the physique coming into play.
Boy, hitting
the bench. Yo, he's putting up weight at that age. What?
Yeah,
so Fallout and Elder Scrolls are feeling a little bit smaller in the gym right now. Where Starfield 2 might be something people start to really press for. Because one thing I've seen a lot is, I didn't like Elder Scrolls, Manny. I didn't like Fallout. But Starfield, that's the Bethesda game for me. This is the problem when you keep making new IP, is you're going to catch a new audience who likes the one thing from you, not everything you've done. And you become like a rock star where you got people who are like, oh, I don't like Red Dead, I like Bully. Oh, I don't like GTA, I like Red Dead, and so on and so forth, right? And so Bethesda is finding themselves there. This was the dangerous game they were playing with a third new IP. Is we already had Skyrim, Elder Scrolls fan, I feel for you. We already had massive breaks between games.
True.
And now they may get even bigger. But to hear that they're doing support for years and years with Starfield, do you think that offsets a Starfield 2? Do you think that ever actually happens? What could a Starfield 2 even look like? Because to me, this is such a big game that outside of making it more space exploration, more planetary exploration, which may be answered in updates and DLC, hopefully, I don't know if it needs a sequel. And I don't know if this is a game that was made in mind of being a series like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls. Starfield's story is final in most ways, I view. And there are things that I feel are open-ended for DLC, but not for a sequel. So I'm wondering, Cog, what do you make of a Starfield 2? And does this start to maybe take precedent above my beloved Fallout 5, which is just a one-pager? Do they look internally and say, look, we got to deliver Elder Scrolls 6. We promise that's next. But after that, that roadmap that they delivered to us in 2018 is done. And they owe you nothing. No answers, no nothing. And we're back to being in the dark. We don't know what's next for Bethesda Game Studios. So, Cog, what do you think the game after Elder Scrolls 6 would be?
I mean, men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't lie, bro. Like, it's like, normally I would have said, I know Maddie ain't gonna like what I'm about to say right now, but
go ahead. No, I prepared myself emotionally. Go ahead.
Normally I would have said, there's no way that they will avoid Fallout at this point, because it's like, okay, boom, Starfield, that was a new IP pitch. You get it out your system. You did it. Yay. Elder Scrolls is the main cash cow, the main, that's what the people, that's next up. And then boom, Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
When you drop a joint and it's already knocking Skyrim out from a success standpoint at this early stage of the game, things change. And what I remember is the classic Todd quote: we'll stop making it when you stop buying it. And right now, you saw me suited up. People have bought this and are buying it and are playing it. They're having record engagement. That changes things. That changes. Now, will it be this generation? No. But and there's still hope that next generation they'll follow the cadence. But let's say next generation comes out, Xbox XX, whatever, right? We figure we get Elder Scrolls at this generation, at the end of the tail end, hopefully, of this generation. Next generation comes out. In theory, Fallout is up. Fallout is up, bro. It's time. What's up? The only thing that worries me, man, I got to be honest with you, is just this weird attachment to 76 and not let it go. Like, they are like, oh, we've got content for wait. Oh man, don't wait till you
5
see
more
what
years, I think they said. Yeah.
I'm just like, bro, you ain't reading the room. Like, please show me this engagement that's justifying this. Maybe I'm wrong. Remember, we had LSM dudes, like a couple of 76 dudes, like, you guys are slander. All I'm saying is show me the engagement. Again, I'm looking at Xbox most played game between Call of Duty and Fortnite, the megatons of the industry. Where is Fallout 76?
I see Fallout 4. I see Skyrim.
I see Fallout 4, and we're going to say that's number 30 or something like that.
Yeah, there's no 76 on this list
There's
at all
no
for top
76.
50.
So Fallout 4 being is actually really impressive considering, you know what I'm
Halo
saying?
Infinite in like the top 30, I think. Not bad. Texas Chainsaw Massacre next to your beloved Destiny 2.
I know, that's crazy. I'm just happy Destiny 2 is back in, close to the top 15, top 20 again. You know what I'm saying? That's a big deal for Destiny 16. But yeah, man, it's one of those things, and it's hard to walk away from something with this much success, bro.
Yeah.
They theoretically, from a financial standpoint, this is the new and better Skyrim. It's just, not saying that the game's better, just from reception so far. If they continue to trend this way, this would I could see they might be like, yo, 2, or we got to see. This is an interesting question because they're a victim of their own success right now. But I'm curious what you think.
I think I gotta be real. I think Fallout's the easy chop here. I think you gotta, if you're gonna do a Starfield 2, this is the easy one because my plan is inevitable. Todd, Phil, whomever tunes in, my plan for your Fallout series has been inevitable from day one. You just maybe realizing it now with this Starfield success, because guess what's the easy series to pass off to that you have talented developers ready to work on it that may have even asked to work on it in a public capacity.
Black Rock is here to help.
Black Rock is Starfield 2. That game's great, man. Y'all work on that. We'll handle Fallout. And the timeline couldn't be more perfect when that time does come. And what do you do as a stopgap? My plan is inevitable. You give me the remasters that I have been asking for probably the better part of a fucking decade now. It is time. It has been time. And if Starfield 2 is to happen, which I'd be very thrilled about, even more so. It has been inevitable from phase 1, but everyone's starting to wake up and see just what I had mapped out. So thank you, Starfield, for being successful, because this is how it should go. Fallout has always been a nimble IP that could. It's the person who gets along with everybody, the chameleon in the room. They can chat anyone up with any background and make friends and have a good time. You work well with Obsidian, Interplay, Bethesda Game Studios. You just work well with everybody. So I think this is the one that you can trust to go out to a talented team with Xbox-funded resources. With that one phone call away, Todd, we're not so sure about this. What kind of input do you have on this? Build that relationship. It's just a win across the board, man, because you're right. The numbers don't lie. I know people think we're crazy for talking Starfield 2, but the reality is they're probably having this talk. They're like, okay, like, hey, what's next after Elder Scrolls 6? But like, they have a long roadmap. They had a Fallout 5 one-pager before Starfield was even in our hands. It was like a year away, and they already had the one-pager. So they have this kind of roadmap, man. And so this could change easily since they're committed to Elder Scrolls 6 because that's how they announced the order. It was Fallout 76, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. After that, they're not. They could say, yeah, we had the one-pager, but they could go left and say, we wanted to do another Starfield. They could. So we'll see, man. But great questions, Zach. Great questions, everybody. Thank you for writing in. We appreciate it. And Cog, we're here at the end of episode 141 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Sir, our hashtag for the week, what are we feeling? Messy Cog. No, I got it. Yeah, DD Messy Cog.
Oh, we can just go DD Messy. Let's just leave it DD Messy.
Yeah, we can do that.
DD Messy. I like that. Yeah, I don't do it a lot, you know what I'm saying? But I had to have fun with this one.
Yeah.
I had to have fun.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved. That was your crowning flannel moment. That was your crowning flannel moment.
That jacket's fire. I can't wait for the winter now.
I know.
Yo, I want that joint in the snow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you got this far into the episode, you want to let us know your thoughts on Twitter. I am at G27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. You tag us over there with the hashtag DDMessy. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Otherwise, if you don't have social media, go ahead and ping us in the comments. Use the hashtag DDMessy. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And with that, Cog, it's been an absolutely fantastic time doing this episode with you. And we'll be back next week for episode 142. So with that, take excellent care of yourselves and peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.